Welcome. Steelers fans, Ravens fans, of course, Cowboy fans alike and haters alike. Welcome to Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. We're going to be covering the playoffs for the rest of the season since our beloved Cowboys are not in the playoffs, and it is so boring without the Dallas Cowboys, but I digress. So for all of you Cowboy haters, we will be covering the playoffs, so your team might get covered by Let's Talk Cowboys. And so, we've wrapped up today, and we're going to continue to go on for the rest of the weekend. We got Sunday and Monday football. Brandon Maloney, what's going on? Yeah, we kind of figured they were not going to be enough. Russ was a little too late with Russ. Tell it two halves for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'm going to point something out to you as I get done with my introduction. I'm going to show you something that I told you about today in the pregame show. So far, I figured the game was going to be a close game in the Texans and the Chargers game. But the issue is the reason why the game was not close is because of turnovers. (32-12) turnovers. I figured the game would be 2017. That was without turnovers, but there was turnovers. D-Rail Carter, what's going on? What's going on, Jared? It happened to be turnovers. Pittsburgh Steelers game, I was a little bit closer on the mark. I figured the score would be 31-17 Ravens. If the Pittsburgh came out and put up a fierce defensive fight, I figured it'd be 2017. But my head told me Baltimore was too much. Baltimore Ravens, I said 31-17 and was 28-14. Too little, too late. Too little, too late. But I also told y'all this. These are things I've been saying all season long. And I'm telling y'all, Dallas Cowboy fans, we have a vested interest in the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have a vested interest in the Detroit Lions. And we have a vested interest in the Philadelphia Eagles. We want, as Cowboys fans, we want these three teams to advance. Even the Houston Texans in a sense. We want these three teams to advance, or these four teams to advance. Why? Because they all went out and got running games in the offseason. They all went out and tried to put weapons around their quarterback. The Houston Texans, they tried to do it. They got Stephon Diggs. He wound up hurt. But the Houston Texans, they're trying to build a power run game. I don't know if Mixon is going to be the answer. I think they may need to keep Mixon, but I think they need to get another running back. But this game tonight, we saw a tale of two teams and a tale of two halves. The Pittsburgh Steelers got some questions to answer. They really do. Is Russ the answer? Is Russell Wilson the answer for the next two seasons? Is he the answer? Is he the answer for even next season? Is Justin Fields the answer? Is he the future? Or do you go and get another quarterback and you start grooming him over these next 2 years between Russell and Justin Fields, and then you let him take over in year 3? Pittsburgh needs another wide receiver. I'm fine with Pickens. He got some dog in him. He's acting a little stupid sometimes, but he's got some dog in him. I think Tomlin can handle Pickens. They just need to get one more wide receiver. And I think they need to get an alpha dog wide receiver. If I was the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'd be on the lookout for Devontae Adams getting cut loose from the Jets. They need 2 running backs, not 1. They need 2 running backs. Najee Harris isn't enough. They need 2 absolute killer running backs in Pittsburgh. It's actually time for Pittsburgh to get back to who they were in the 70s also. They need to get a power run game too. The way Mike Tomlin likes to play football. He needs a power run game, and he needs a bigger, stronger quarterback. He does. Let me give you my thoughts that I've been telling you about with these Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens basically said, and people don't want it, they don't have to admit it, they don't have to agree. But I know what the Baltimore Ravens said, and it showed by what they did. The Baltimore Ravens said, Lamar Jackson, with weapons around him, is not enough. The Baltimore Ravens said, Lamar Jackson, with weapons around him, isn't enough. I mean, we saw what they did. They went and got Odell Beckham Jr. They've been kind of flipping in and out with different types of wide receivers and tight ends, and they've been flipping in and out, all kinds of players. The light bulb finally went off. We need a run game. We need a run game so that when people run up in here or we go somewhere else and they say, hey, man, all we have to do is stop Lamar Jackson from running, because then he becomes an average quarterback. The Baltimore Ravens are saying something that the Dallas Cowboys ought to be saying. We have to stop expecting our quarterback to be Superman every single game. The Baltimore Ravens said, no, we're not going to let him be Superman the whole game. As a matter of fact, we're going to let him be Clark Kent half of the game. Y'all ever notice in a Superman movie? I mean, you never see Superman 100% of the time. I mean, you got to have Clark Kent too, don't you? You got to have Clark Kent. You got to have you got to have the Daily Planet stuff. You have to have the Lois Lane Clark Kent dynamic. I mean, it adds a little bit of interest to the story. And even Lois Lane, when she finally figures out, I mean, you ever notice, Lois Lane, she doesn't want Clark until she finds out Clark is Superman. So it's okay to be Superman, but you got to let him be Clark Kent in disguise sometimes too. Sometimes he got to do regular things. And so we saw tonight, the Baltimore Ravens are smart. Yeah, we know Lamar Jackson is a video game. We do. We know he's a Madden video game player. But he needs help. And he needs a lot of help. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because in actuality, every quarterback, and we don't like to acknowledge this because we act like Patrick Mahomes walks out on the field, plays cornerback, defensive line, linebacker, safety, offensive line, running back, wide receiver. I mean, we're acting like Patrick Mahomes is playing 8 different positions. No, he needs players too. He needs players too. You got to figure out how to put players around these guys. And so Lamar Jackson, what they did, they said he's not enough, even with weapons on the outside. No, he needs something very specific. He not only needs a run game. See, they've had a run game with him before. But what they didn't have for Lamar Jackson was actually a better running back than the running backs that they had in the past. In case anybody didn't know that, Lamar Jackson was a better runner than the running backs they had with him in the past. But now, Baltimore said, we're going to get a runner. We're going to get a runner that's better than Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry is a better runner than Lamar Jackson. He's a better runner than Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry is a physical freak. And he is 100% a running back. Let me get some greetings in and I'm gonna continue on. But the Baltimore Ravens, I'm about to show you something. And I said this before the game today. And I'm going to say it again. And I'm going to show you how people got to learn how to think and understand football and not just talk football. You have to understand it. You have to learn it, understand it, and you have to understand what it looks like when you see it. When you see true football, you got to know what it looks like. Brandy, what's going on? Jared, D-Rail Carter, what is going on? Ron, what's going on? I'm going to get to some comments here in a moment. That's it. Yeah, Ron. Papa J, what's going on? And that looks like Mim 10. What's going on? Let's see. Real Vibe. SP Lounge. What is going on? What's going on tonight? Let me read a couple of comments here. Yeah, Jared said, Brandy said she knew the Steelers was going to lose. Jared says Russ showed some stuff second half. I think the Steelers, though, they really need to decide about Russ. Russ sometimes is Jekyll and Hyde in his older age. And if they're going to continue to keep Russ, I'll be honest with you, they could probably roll with Russ another year or two. They're going to have to understand what he is, though. They're going to have to get some show enough weapons around Russ. They're going to have to get some show enough weapons around Russ. In particular, a run game that's insane. They are. Jared says, I was impressed how Russ bounced back. Yeah, he still got some in him. Issue is he needs some more around him. D-Rail, he said, what's good? Russ started off great when he started playing. Then he declined. Yeah, he needs more around him. Yeah, D-Rail, they were not ready. And the problem is, I'm going to be honest with you. I told y'all this early in the season about these three teams in particular. Baltimore, Philly, Detroit. They're built to beat anybody. The Baltimore Ravens are built to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They're built to beat them. They are. And I'm going to explain that more in a minute here. They're built to beat them. Jared said every team needs a running game. We saw that tonight. Yes, they need a running game. But watch this. But what the Baltimore Ravens needed, they already had a running game. The problem is their quarterback was better than the running backs. So what the Baltimore Ravens needed was something more specific. They needed a running back that was a better runner than the quarterback. They needed a running back that could hit home runs like the quarterback, because the quarterback was hitting more home runs than the running backs that were with him before Derrick Henry. But now Derrick Henry, power runner, fast runner. I mean, the stiff arms are insane. The speed, deceptive and insane. The cuts that he makes. One cut, I'm gone. One cut, stiff arm, I'm gone. And he's hard to bring down. You're not even drop hip tap. You're not even going to do the drop hip tackle on Derrick Henry. I mean, this dude is a monster. See, they needed something very specific. And I wish other teams could think like this. Y'all notice I was hollering, I was singing the praises and saying Rico Dowdle needs to be the starter. But now that I've seen what Rico Dowdle is, I have no problem if the Cowboys keep Rico Dowdle, but understand this. You need another running back. Rico Dowdle, at least what he's shown so far. Rico Dowdle in all those 100-yard games, in all those games where he was running for 4, 5, 6, 7 yards per carry, he's not a home run hitter. I'm not saying he can't hit a home run. But there's a difference in a guy who can hit a baseball and Barry Bonds. People don't understand Barry Bonds before the steroids. Even before the steroids. Barry Bonds, anytime he stepped up to the plate, you already knew, this has a good chance of being a home run. The only difference with Barry Bonds with the steroids and without the steroids, with the steroids, he was hitting home runs in the stadium to the crowd. With the steroids, Barry Bonds was knocking the home runs out the stadium in the parking lot. I mean, Barry Bonds has always been a home run hitter, but the Cowboys need a home run hitter. They need a home run hitter, a guy that stands behind Dak Prescott, and at any moment, everybody in the stadium is going, it's 2nd and 3, and this guy may take it to the crib. It's 3rd and 15. This dude might take it to the crib. We never got that with Rico Dowdle. Derrick Henry in the backfield. This is a scary thought. Okay, if Lamar Jackson does the read option and he keeps it, Lamar Jackson might go to the crib. If Lamar Jackson gives it to Derrick Henry and fakes like he has it, and we go for Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry is already 20 yards down the field. I'm telling y'all, if this Baltimore Ravens combination of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson hold up, the whole AFC playoffs is they're on notice. They're on notice. And I said this before everyone started talking about it. Man, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, it should be illegal. It literally should be illegal. This is like putting someone like a LeBron James, Michael Jordan on the same team. I mean, this is almost like that. How do you get the quarterback who can hit you in the air and hit you with the home run with his feet and doing video game moves, and now you got Derrick Henry who can hit you with the home run and he can hit you with video game stiff arms? Man, I'm telling you, I feel for every team that's going to play this team. I feel for every team because I've told y'all before, you don't run the ball to have a dominant run game. You run the ball to dominate the game. And what happens is if you keep beating on a defensive line, and if they can't withstand it, you better believe that wall gonna crack. That wall gonna come tumbling down. It just can't take that much punishment. It can't. It can't do it. Yeah, Russ, I'm telling you, Russ to me is like a Jekyll and Hyde. It's like sometimes you just don't know what you're getting with Russ. I mean, you can get a game where he can come out and shoot out with a team, and then you come back and he don't do nothing with a team. Ron, the Cowboys could have had Henry, but Jerry's too cheap. The Ravens outrushed Steelers 302 yards, 29 yards. Now, I'm going to say this. Jerry said his reasoning was. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not agreeing with the reasoning per se. I mean, Jerry is saying that with the way our line is and the scheme we run, he's saying that he don't know if Henry would have been as good with the Cowboys. I agree to a degree. But if you're telling me that Rico Dowdle was running for 15 for 75, 18 for 80, or whatever the case may be, 18 for 86. If you're telling me that Rico Dowdle, who went, 4 100-yard games in a row down the stretch, if you're telling me that Rico Dowdle can get 1,000 yards with this team, the Cowboys, then I'm going to say that Derrick Henry could have got 15 to 1,600 yards with the Dallas Cowboys. And I think just the threat of Derrick Henry standing in the backfield with the Dallas Cowboys, it still would have put fear in teams, and it would have made teams play the Cowboys totally different. You want to talk about eating on play action? Oh, no. It's going to be a totally different game. I do not agree with Jerry from that perspective, but I'll say this. Derrick Henry is more dangerous with the Ravens than he is with the Cowboys. He's more dangerous with the Ravens. He's more dangerous because the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, man, I'm telling you, every team's going to have this problem with the Baltimore Ravens. I said it today. I saw the game, and I'm going to say it again. It's one thing to game plan to stop the running back. It's another thing to game plan to stop the quarterback. It is almost impossible to game plan to stop both Lamar Jackson, who is a video game, and Derrick Henry, who is a video game. That's scary. And I'm telling y'all, Willie T, I hope you in there because I'm telling you, I'm not a Philadelphia Eagle lover. I'm just telling you. People keep saying, yeah, man, you know what? Jalen Hurts is a running back playing quarterback. Can we say the same thing similar to Lamar Jackson? Can we say the same thing similar about Lamar Jackson? But he's hard to stop. He's hard to stop. Jalen Hurts, we saw this with the Cowboys in their first meeting. Mike Zimmer had his defense to hold Saquon Barkley to 64 yards. But the problem is he was running single high safety. And in order to stop both of these, to stop Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, who is even a greater home run hitter, I don't think he's as good of a grinder as Derek, but he's even better because he had the most explosive runs and plays in the league. It's hard with single high safety to stop both Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. It's hard. How do you do it? How do you do it unless you do what the Commanders did and knock Jalen Hurts out the game? Because if you don't knock him out the game, you're going to have to be on alert the entire game. And I'm telling you, when teams run like the Eagles are capable of, and when teams run like Philly, like the Ravens are capable of, they are hard to beat. Do y'all know it is insane that the Baltimore Ravens tonight, the Baltimore Ravens went through a stint to where they ran the ball 15 straight times. Boy, I wish we had a team like that. I wish the Dallas Cowboys could do that. 15 straight times? Man, I'm sorry. If you can run the ball 15 straight times, that means that you are literally getting first down after first down. Man, does anybody not know what that does for your quarterback? Man, if you're the quarterback of a team that can run, but let's keep this in perspective. They ran 15 straight times between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I'm telling y'all, two teams right now, two teams, everybody better be afraid of. They better be afraid of both of these teams. The Eagles and the Ravens. It's strange that both of them are birds. The Eagles and the Ravens. Because they are both built. And when your team is constructed like these two teams are constructed, you don't need Josh Allen. You don't need Patrick Mahomes. You don't need those two types of quarterbacks. You don't need them when your team is built the way that these two teams are built. And both of these teams said the same thing. Hey, Jalen Hurts needs more help. Yeah, he can run, he can throw. He needs more help. They're going to be hard to stop in the NFC. Detroit better be on alert if the Philadelphia Eagles make it to them. And the Kansas City Chiefs this year, they better be on alert because if the Baltimore Ravens make it to them, hey man, you're going to have to literally, on both of these teams, in particular, the Baltimore Ravens, you're going to have to outscore them. You're going to have to outscore them. I'm telling you tonight, the Baltimore Ravens, if they wanted to, I think they could have put up another touchdown on the Pittsburgh Steelers. That run game finally broke them down, man. It did. It finally broke them down. Ron, they play defense too. Ron, I'm telling you. And the Eagles are built just like them. Both of these teams play defense. Now, it don't mean they don't give up points because both of them have given up points during the season. They both have given up points during the season. But at the same time, their defenses also play good enough that once their team start getting a little up on you, they really get hard to deal with. Because their defenses can get after the quarterback, both of them. The Baltimore Ravens, y'all, I'm telling you, and I knew it when they got Derrick Henry, they were going to be hard to stop. Just imagine if they get Flowers back next week. Imagine if they get Flowers back next week. Man, we are literally about to see the clash of the Titans again. I know the NFL wants to crown Josh Allen I mean, they want to inaugurate him as the face of the league. But there's a guy who doesn't look like what people want a quarterback to look like. And I'm not talking about black or white. I'm going to tell y'all something. This is why I love Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is in his own lane, is in his own world. He's not trying to look like anyone else. Now he got a diamond encrusted grill. I mean, he doesn't look like a quarterback like a Cam Newton, all good looking, handsome. Nope. Lamar Jackson, somebody gonna have to be real about Lamar Jackson. This is why I absolutely love Lamar Jackson. Hey man, Lamar Jackson dressed like a dude from the hood. And I'm not talking about it in a bad way. Lamar Jackson, he's like that cool dude in the hood. Got the braids, got the nice car. You might even think, hey man, I wonder what that dude do. He must be a street pharmacist or something. No, he might not be a street pharmacist. He just identifies kind of with the culture that he grew up around. Lamar Jackson, he's not trying to get speech. He's not trying to get speech classes. I mean, he got that accent that he has. I'm not sure where it's from. He almost sounds like he from New Orleans or somewhere. I mean, he just sounds like he from the hood. But he's a millionaire. And he's smart. This dude got investments. He got businesses. And he can literally play this game. I love the fact that he is who he is. He don't look like what people want the quarterback to look like. And this ain't got nothing to do with black and white. He just don't look like what people want the quarterback to look like, what they want him to sound like. But when he on the field, whoo, man. This dude's a video game. This dude is a video game. And I just wonder when they're voting for MVP, I just wonder, I just wonder, even though they say it's a regular season award, I just kind of wonder, though, as they're watching the playoffs, does that kind of put some kind of impact on some of them? Because we're going to see if the Buffalo Bills get past the Denver Broncos. I'm going to be the first one to say it. Y'all better watch out. The Buffalo Bills on upset alert, because I am telling you, Sean Payton is as sly as a fox. He is as sly as a fox. If the Buffalo Bills think the Denver Broncos are going to be an easy out, they will get the brakes beat off of them. They will. They'll get the brakes beat off of them. Brandy, you're asking a good question. Will Tomlin have a job? I think the question needs to be, does Tomlin still want the Pittsburgh job? Tomlin's a good coach. But sometimes, man, you can be somewhere too long. Something's not quite connecting because they have not been able to get a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. Now, Roethlisberger is not a Tomlin pick. He's not a Tomlin pick. So the issue becomes, is it Tomlin that hasn't been able to get the quarterback? I mean, he missed on Kenny Pickett. I forgot the other guy name. He missed on him. He can't, so he brings in Russ. He brings in Justin Fields. That doesn't seem to be working. I'm wondering about the running back. Is that Mike Tomlin? Najee Harris, I know he come from Alabama, and everybody's like the Alabama running backs, but I don't really think, and he had a running back before that. I forgot his name, but Tomlin just haven't had, you think about how they won the Super Bowl with, how they won the Super Bowl back in the day with Roethlisberger. They don't have Jerome Bettis. They haven't had a running back like Jerome Bettis. The Steelers haven't had a dominant running back. I can't think of a dominant running back they've had really since Jerome Bettis. Le'Veon Bell for a minute. But he got a little bit beside himself. Le'Veon Bell for a minute got a little bit beside himself, but I think Tomlin's going to have to decide if he wants to continue to be with the Steelers because something ain't working no more. Something ain't working no more. Ron said they had a great draft. He said, but they would have to do it in free agency. Yeah, they got to do something because even with Najee Harris, I mean, he to me reminds me of a Rico Dowdle type back. And that's why I was kind of tripping when people were talking about the Steelers, you know, they may get Rico Dowdle. And I'm like, but Najee Harris is Rico Dowdle. I mean, they're one and the same. The Steelers need a home run hitter. That's what they need. And this draft has home run hitters in it. Papa J, Tomlin will end up with the Raiders. Papa J, Ben Johnson's name is floating around the Raiders. Ben Johnson's name is floating around the Raiders. And I'm going to tell y'all this. I actually think the Raiders' job is probably the best job that's open right now. Because I believe Davis is going to give whoever that coach is, especially if it's a coach that he respects. See, Antonio Pierce, I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud. Some people say I don't think it's a race thing per se. I don't think it's a race thing. I just think Antonio Pierce didn't have enough skins on the wall. People got to understand, man, in this league, that stuff matters to these owners. The Raiders wouldn't do Tomlin like that. They respect Tomlin. He's got a Super Bowl, even though it's been a while. I'm of the thing. I just don't think people should be allowed to. I just don't think people should be allowed to ride Super Bowls as long as some of these guys do. I mean, we be like 10 years, 15 years deep talking about, yeah, man, he won a Super Bowl. What, 15 years ago? I mean, if you're talking about in the last 5, 7 years, but you're talking about 15? Man, I mean, you're talking about 10, 12 years ago. I mean, whoo. Man, I just don't know if you can let a guy ride it that long. Tomlin got to get McCarthy treatment. Nothing without being A-Rod. Hey, I'm just saying. But you know what, though? McCarthy has won with Dak Prescott. McCarthy's actually won with Dak Prescott. I think one of the problems is with Mike McCarthy as it pertains to Dak Prescott, it's the same problem he had in doggone Green Bay. He hates running the ball. And you are not going to win deep in the playoffs. I mean, it's the reason why this dude had Aaron bleeping Rodgers for 13 seasons and only mustered out 1 Super Bowl. And the year that he did it, people keep telling me, oh, he didn't run the ball. Well, that year he had some wide receivers. He had some great wide receivers across the board. That West Coast offense works like a charm. If you got 4 yak receivers lined up across, even if you got 3 yak receivers, yak, yards after the catch. If you got 3 guys, 3 of the 4, even 2 of the 4. If you got 2 of the 4 that can catch the ball, 5 yards slant, 5 yard out, boom, take it to the crib. That thing is working. Because those 2 receivers become a problem. And if you look at how Bill Walsh ran that West Coast early on, man, he had Jerry Rice in that thing. Roger Craig, Stallworth, guys like that. I mean, it works when you got studs. Problem is, man, you can't run that with 1 wide receiver. Steelers draft pick this year. What was that? 4th. Okay, 14th, 15th, 16th, and 27th round draft picks. They better do something. They better do something. Okay, you said 1 4th, 1 5th, 1 6th, and 2 7th. Okay, so wow, they have no first. They in for it. They're just not going to be able to compete with the Ravens. Brandy, you said it today. All the running backs that are good, guess where they are? In the playoffs. And guess what? Cowboys could have got every last one of them. Every last one of them. Could have got them. I'm going to read some more of your comments in a minute. Appreciate your real vibe. I'm about to show you something that I told you today that's astounding about this Ravens game. Let me show you what these doggone dumb, I don't know who came up with this idea. Let me show you what these dummies did last year. And I'm sorry. I say that facetiously. So in the conference championship game, The Baltimore Ravens came up against the Kansas City Chiefs. And let me show you something that they did was dumb. Somebody decided to prove that Lamar Jackson is a quarterback in this league, and he can play quarterback like everybody else. Lamar Jackson was 20 of 32, 272, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And that interception was detrimental because it literally lost the game. I mean, it literally lost the game. Hard-fought defensive game, it literally lost the game. He threw it right in the end zone. I want you to look at his runs. Look at the rushing. Focus in on the rushing. He was 20 for 37, 272. Lamar bleeping Jackson threw the ball 37 times. Why? If your quarterback is throwing the ball 37 times and his name is not Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, Dan Marino. I mean, if your quarterback doesn't have those 4 names on his jersey and he's throwing 37 times, you know what that means? You're either in a shootout or you're playing catch up and you're going to lose. This is not what you want. 20 for 37, 272. I'm showing you this for a reason. 20 for 37. Let me write this down. I want y'all to see this. This is mind-blowing. And I knew, because I remember this game vividly last year, and I knew they were going to rectify this, and they had to, because I want y'all to understand something. The Ravens figured something out that the Cowboys won't figure out. I don't care if you pay your quarterback $95 million. If this is what he's doing in the playoffs, you're not winning. You're not winning. And if you're paying your quarterback $95 million and you want him to throw the ball because he's the quarterback making the most money in the league, yeah, he going to have to throw the ball too. He better throw the ball about 40, 45 times. You're losing. He was 20 for 37. He was 272, right? He was, now watch this. He's throwing all these yards, all these attempts. He only has 1 TD. He has 1 interception. Then when we look at Lamar Jackson on the running side, he had what? He had 8 carries. He had 54 yards. He averaged 6.8. And he had 0 TDs. Now, I want you to understand something. If you're Patrick Mahomes, you can win like this. If you're Patrick Mahomes. I mean, heck, if you're Dak Prescott, if Dak Prescott got 8 for 54 in the game, man, Dak Prescott done caught, man, go back and look at the Tampa Bay game. If Dak Prescott has ran 8 for 54 and went 20 for 37 on the team, no, the Cowboys actually won that game. But if you're Lamar Jackson, this isn't really what you want. I would even say if you're Josh Allen, this isn't what you want. If you're Jalen Hurts, this isn't what you want. Now, if you see this with Jared Goff, you're like, hey, man, they might have won that game. He ran for 54 yards because you don't expect that from those quarterbacks. So you're basically saying, hey, man, them dudes was getting busy. But the reality is with Lamar Jackson, when you look at these numbers on Lamar Jackson, you go, wait a minute, something is wrong. Lamar Jackson threw the ball 37 times? Watch this next part. I'm going to show you how the Baltimore Ravens front office are genius. They also looked at another factor. Look at this. Did I not tell you? Do y'all realize Lamar Jackson last year in the playoffs, he literally outrushed his entire backfield. They were 8 for 27. Wait, what? Wait a minute, hold on a second. So you telling me between 3 running backs, they got outrushed by Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson ran more yards than, he ran 27 more yards than they did on the same amount of carries. Somebody may not realize this, But that was a problem. That was a problem. Now, y'all might not remember, but I said this today. Lamar Jackson has to stop trying to prove to people that he's a quarterback. He's got to stop trying to prove that. When you start trying to prove to people what you are, watch what you do. You typically be something that you're not. Because you're actually not being who you are. You're trying to prove something to them. Because typically when you're trying to prove yourself to somebody, somebody has said, hey, man, you can't, hey, man, hey, Ron can't do this. So you know what Ron does? Ron says, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you I can do the very thing you said I can't do. You tell Jared, hey, man, you can't do this. Jared said, man, I'm going to do the very thing that you said I couldn't do. Brandon, you can't do this. Brandon says, well, I'm going to show you I can do the very thing that you said I can't do. Never do that. Never do that. I told people last week in the pulpit, one thing I can be better than anybody in the world is me. Nobody can be me better than me. If I try to be you, I'm going to fail. I can watch you and maybe do a few things like you, but I can't be you. So if I have to be you, and you are the best you that you is, then I'm going to fail. Because I let you set my standards. I let you make me. So now you get to break me. This was the dumbest thing Lamar Jackson was doing. The same thing people are saying about Jalen Hurts. If I'm Jalen Hurts, I don't care what anyone says. Hey, man, Jalen Hurts is a running back playing quarterback, but am I playing quarterback? But am I playing quarterback? I play quarterback the way I play quarterback, whether you like it or not. If I run for more yards than I throw and I'm winning, well, I'm going to do me. We let people set standards for us. No, we have to do what got us here. I watched Jalen Hurts. The moment he hit Alabama, Jalen Hurts has been what he is. He's been no different. Nothing we're seeing about Jalen Hurts is different than it was in college. Nothing. Other than he had a plethora of weapons at Alabama. Wound up getting transferred. And even when he got transferred, he was still who he was. He's come to the league and he's still who he is. And if this is what got you here, why change? If you're winning and this is what got you here, why would you change? Do you evolve? Yes. Do you get better at certain things? Yes. Do you mature? Do you think better? Do you start playing more with your mind than you do with your physical ability? Yes. But you still have to be who you are. You have to use what got you here. You don't get here and start trying to change everything about yourself. No. I'm going to be what got me here. And Lamar Jackson, I watched Lamar Jackson and I knew this dude was going to do this on the pro level. People were saying that he wasn't. I said, no, Lamar Jackson is going to do the same thing he did at Houston. He's going to do the same thing in the pros. He has. Lamar Jackson is the same guy he was in high school. Derrick Henry, same guy he was in high school, same guy he was in college, same guy he is in the pros. You have to do and be what got you here, man. And Lamar Jackson in this dumb 20 for 37 for 272 last year is what got their butts beat. So watch what happened this year. You ready to have your whole mind blown? Or you ready to have your mind blown? Somebody said, let this man be who he is. So you're telling me Lamar Jackson and this team put up more points on the Baltimore Ravens. More points. He was 16 of 21 for 175, 2 touchdowns, 76% completion, 132 rating, and 8.3 yards per pass. I'll take that every day of the week. I'll take that every day of the week from Lamar Jackson. Every single day of the week. And folk get mad. This is not about loving Jalen Hurts. I'll take that from Jalen Hurts every day of the week. See, we brainwashed. Hey, man, Dak Prescott, high-paid quarterback in the league. Man, he ought to be throwing for 250, 300, 400 yards a game. No, he shouldn't. I'd have paid Dak Prescott $60 million and said, now, you will no longer throw the ball more than 25 times a game. That's my goal. Dak Prescott will not throw another game more than 25 passes. The only way Dak Prescott throws another game more than 25 passes, our defense better collapse and we better be in a 45-43 shootout. Because other than that, he'll never throw another 20. He'll never throw a game more than 25 yards. Go back and look at Troy Aikman's. Go back and look at Troy Aikman's games. Just go look. Them 30 pass attempts games, anomalies. Those 300-yard games, anomalies. Doggone Troy Aikman was throwing sometime 185, 200, 215, 250. That's why Dak Prescott is destroying all his records. We don't even realize it, man. Dak is throwing the ball at an alarming rate all over the field. All over the field. Putting up video game numbers. Man, we don't even give this dude credit. This dude been putting up 40, 50, 40, 35. I mean, this dude been putting up major points. Major points. Been putting the whole team on his shoulders. And people be acting like this dude trash. Man, people be acting like this dude is trash. Boy, I'm telling you, we don't know we're watching. But the problem is, we want this man to be doggone Superman. Y'all remember that Superman? I'm thinking it was Superman 1. When Lois Lane wound up getting killed. And Superman trying to do everything and do everything all at once. And then Lois Lane got killed. And then that Joker got so mad he flew and made the world go backwards. Reverse time, which is absolutely hilarious. But he made time go backwards so that he could go back and save Lois. I mean, it's crazy. This is what we want Dak Prescott to do. No, the Baltimore Ravens said, no, Lamar Jackson, we need you to be Clark Kent sometimes. Not only do we need you to be Clark Kent, Lamar Jackson, we need you to be you. He was 16 of 21 for 175, 2 touchdowns, 76%, 132, 8.3 yards per attempt. Lamar Jackson. Harbaugh deserves a standing ovation. Harbaugh got this man paid and said, and we need more around him, because this is the next part. This is the part I want you to feast your eyes on this. Y'all remember what I showed you? Between 3 running backs last year, they were 8 for 54. I'm sorry, they were 8 for 27. Lamar was 8 for 54 by himself. They were 8 for 27. Look at this year. Derrick Henry, 26 for 186. I'll take it every day of the week. Move some of this stuff off Lamar Jackson's plate. Just because he's a video game, just because we know he's a home run hitter, just because we've paid him $250 million or whatever they paid him, how much guaranteed, we don't have to say, because we're paying him so much money, he better be Superman on this team every single game. Pittsburgh said, nope. No. Don't worry about it, Superman. We're going to go get you Batman. We're going to go get you Wonder Woman. We're going to get you the Flash. We're going to get you Aquaman. We're going to get you the Green Lantern. We still playing the single movie of Superman with Dak Prescott. We still playing that game. These other teams, they're putting together the Justice League. They're putting together the Justice League. We're still fooling around with the solo Superman and Batman movies. We trying to play Batman and Robin. We got the quarterback and a wide receiver. And then we think we're going to go all through the playoffs. You ain't going nowhere like that. You're not going anywhere in a multiple villain movie with one doggone superhero and a sidekick. It is not happening. You better be building the Justice League. You want to know why? Hey, Iron Man was great, but everyone loved the Avengers. You start getting Iron Man, Captain America, Incredible Hulk. You put together a team. That's what you do. I want us to look at this. We have a vested interest in this. This dude, Derrick Henry, 26 attempts, 186 yards. You don't think that Lamar Jackson now is going to absolutely eat on every team they play if this dude even comes out and does half this? This is what they brought him here for. This dude, Derrick Henry, ran for more yards than Lamar Jackson passed for. What? What? And then folks start saying stupid stuff. Yeah, man, but you know what, man? The running back ran for more yards than the quarterback. And you win how you win, man. You win how you're built. The Philadelphia Eagles better not dare approach one game in this playoffs talking about, hey, man, people talking about Jalen Hurts is a quarterback playing running back, so let's make sure he throws the ball 35 times. Stop it. Jalen, be who you are. If you have to throw the ball 15 times and run 25 times, and that's going to win the game, win the game. See, Dallas Cowboys fans, man, we don't think right. We just don't think right. That's why I have to keep reminding people about Troy Aikman. People don't even understand what they were watching. I mean, we be talking about Troy Aikman like he was some prolific passer, like Troy Aikman was ripping teams to shreds, throwing for 300, 400 yards. Man, Troy Aikman didn't do that stuff. Troy Aikman ate off play action. He ate on it. He had a running back that was continuously getting 100+ yards a game. 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. Troy Aikman didn't have to do none of that stuff. We don't even realize Troy Aikman had the Justice League. He was not Superman by himself. Still had the Justice League. Whatever the assignment was, somebody rose to the occasion. They had the Justice League. And I'm sorry, every team better be put on notice, because not only did Lamar Jackson go 16 for 21 for 175, Lamar Jackson went 15 for 81 in the run game. Dangerous. It's absolutely dangerous. So who has the defense in the AFC that can stop this? Who? Who in the AFC has the defense that can stop this if this is this? I'm telling y'all, man, the playoffs are different. And I keep saying it, people don't understand. The playoffs are different. The reason why the playoffs are different, because what happens during the season, teams will be looking down the road at teams. They know that the season isn't over. In their minds, your mentality is different, because you're thinking, you know what, it's a regular season game, so if we lose this game, we still got to keep playing. You might lose this week. You might say, hey, man, this was the game. If we win this game, we wrap up home field advantage. Then you wind up losing that game. And guess what happens to the team that had the opportunity to pass you if you lost? They lose too. Or you're looking at that other team's schedule and you're saying, hey, man, they got a game going down the stretch that they may lose that game. So we might have lost this one. So we just got to focus on, okay, we got an easy team in front of us. Like we got to take care of business, and then we'll beat this team. I mean, the focus is different during the regular season. You're trying to strategize in how you're approaching games and how you win games. But in the playoffs, it's different. You're one and done. You have to put everything into beating the team you're playing next. Unless you're just playing an absolute trash team. And typically teams that get in the playoffs are not trash. And the problem I had with the Cowboys last year, the Cowboys were at home, had won a tremendous amount of games at home, and they just act like all they had to do was show up. Somebody forgot to tell the Green Bay Packers they were the lowest seed ever in the NFL as far as wins. I don't know if it was necessarily wins, but they were the lowest seed. I mean, Ed Water was talking about this today. They're the lowest seed ever to beat a number 2. Wins or something, how he's explaining that. And everybody's still talking about it because the 7 beat the 2. That just don't happen. It just don't happen. But if you're going to show up to the game like that don't happen, guess what happens? Oh, man, surely that can't happen to us. It happens to you. You're the very team it happens to. You got to come into these games. When you come into the playoffs, it's supposed to be different. Now it's do or die. There is no next week. There is no next week. Unless we beat this team right here. So we put everything into beating this team. The playoffs are different. And where the Baltimore Ravens, we know they lost some games this year, kind of looking back on their season. And what I want to see is so early in the season, they had the rematch with the Kansas City Chiefs. Early in the season, the Ravens lost to the Chiefs. I'm just kind of going down the line because I want to see who else. So when you think about the teams in the playoffs, they beat the Chargers. Of course, they had already beat the Steelers. We'd already saw that. They beat the brakes off the Ravens. And I don't even know. I just think the Houston Texans, I think the Ravens are a bad matchup for them. This is the game I want you to feast your eyes on right here. And I think this is going to be the game that's going to be in the minds of these MVP voters. Do you notice the game I got highlighted? The Baltimore Ravens undressed. They undressed the Buffalo Bills. They undressed them. I just don't think there's another team in the AFC that can handle the Ravens. I don't think there's another team that can handle them. There are teams, they got these blips on here. 26-23, they got beat by the Raiders. Cowboys beat the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. I don't know how some of that stuff happens, but it happens. Sometimes these good teams get beat by teams and you scratch your head during the season. But when you look at them overall, look at this. They dismantled the Broncos. That's another one of these teams in the playoffs. They dismantled the Broncos. They've dismantled the Steelers. They've dismantled the Chargers. They're no longer in it. They've dismantled the Texans. I mean, I guess the Texans got a safety. I mean, there is literally, if we just go by the trend of this season, this is the showdown we're going to see again. This is the showdown we're going to see again. And this Ravens team looks different than it looked when it played the Chiefs the first game of the season. Derrick Henry now, man, Derrick Henry right now is scary. Derrick Henry right now is absolutely scary. Now, the Chiefs got a good defense. They held Derrick Henry to 13 for 46. Lamar Jackson went 16 for 22. Look at this. Here we go again. You see why they lost? You see why they lost to Kansas City? The same reason they lost to Kansas City in the playoffs. If Lamar Jackson plays the Kansas City Chiefs, he has 41 attempts, 26 completions, 273, 1 touchdown, and then he runs 16, 122. I'm going to tell you pretty much, I got a feeling they probably lost that game. Because that means they're in a shootout of some sort. They're probably in a shootout if Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball this much. But if Lamar Jackson is running the ball, go back. You know, I talked about this early in the season. I remember when the Baltimore Ravens played the Dallas Cowboys. And it was astounding when you look at his stats against us. This was absolutely astounding. Look at Lamar Jackson's stats against us. This is exactly what you want. This is what you want. This man threw the ball 15 times. That's exactly what you want. 15 times, 182, 1 touchdown, and look at Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, 25 for 151, 6-0, 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 14, 87, 6-4, 1 touchdown. Looks similar, don't it? Does that not look eerily similar to what they did in the playoffs? Does it not look eerily similar? 16 for 21, 175, 2 touchdowns this time. He didn't have the 1 rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry, 26, 186. Looks eerily similar, doesn't it? If they use this formula, even against Kansas City, they're going to be hard to stop. They are going to be hard to stop. I do have a concern. Same one I said in the game. Same one I said before the game. The only problem I have with the Baltimore Ravens to me seem to have a problem putting teams away. They put some teams away, but even in the Dallas game, Dallas roared back on them. And I mean, they roared back on them. And people started getting their hopes up like, wait a minute. The Cowboys may actually come back on them. They allow teams to roar back. You look at them in the third quarter. They closed it out, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, they scored 14. They scored 14 in the third quarter. The defense clamped down again. They held them to 0 in the fourth quarter. I do think maybe Pittsburgh could have scored 1 more touchdown, especially towards the end. But sometimes they don't hold on all the time, depending upon who that team is. They don't always hold on down the stretch. I want you to look at this, because look at what happened against the Cowboys. The Cowboys scored 0 points in the third, and then the Cowboys roared back on them, scored 19 points. And if the Cowboys could have got one more stop, we were thinking they could have came back. Also, when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, who they got into some shootouts with these doggone Cincinnati Bengals. And look at what happened with the Bengals. It was the same thing with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Ravens were up 7-0. And then the Cincinnati Bengals roared back 17-7. 24, I think it was 24-21. Then in the fourth quarter, the way this game played out is the Ravens scored these points at the end and got this thing to overtime. The Bengals scored these points at the end and almost got this game. They almost got that game. And then when they played the Bengals again in the second game, it was the same doggone thing. The Bengals roared back in this game. They roared back in this game. And the crazy thing is, they roared back in this game and they decided rather than going for the extra point, they went for the 2. And the most ironic thing is, they got cheated on that 2-point conversion. It was pass interference, and they didn't call it. I don't think anybody wanted Cincinnati in the playoffs. I really don't. The way Joe Shiesty was playing, I don't think nobody wanted them in. I mean, you got to think about it. People have been talking about it. And I don't know if it's true, but I'll tell you this. Kansas City had a vested interest in making sure they lost that last game because the Cincinnati Bengals have been kryptonite. They have been kryptonite for the doggone Kansas City Chiefs, but I digress. But I'm telling us, man, if the Pittsburgh Steelers play like this, if they continue to play like this, they're going to be hard to stop. They are going to be hard to stop. I just don't know. I mean, the way you're going to beat them is whoever that team is, they're literally going to have to outscore them. They're going to have to outscore them. They are going to be hard to hold down. They're going to be hard to hold down for any team now. Any team they play, they're going to be hard to hold down. I mean, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry are doing something phenomenal. People talking about the running back position is washed up. Man, this dude, Derrick Henry. I mean, this is what I wish Zeke would have done. You see Zeke doing some workout like cone drills and, running around on little things on the ground and doing all his hopping and skipping and cutting. And, you're seeing all this stuff from Zeke. Go watch a Derrick Henry workout. Go watch a Derrick Henry workout. Zeke looked like he working out for 7-on-7. Derrick Henry looked like he working out like he's going to fight in the gladiator arena. This dude, I mean, you like, dude, what you training for? Because if you look at him, you like, this dude is not training for football. This dude is training for something totally different than football. No, this dude is training for football. Derrick Henry really takes care of his body. He does. He does. He takes care of his body. He works out. He does all kinds of things. I mean, if I was a professional athlete, I would be doing exactly what Derrick Henry does and exactly what LeBron James does. LeBron James spends $1 million a year on his body. $1 million. This dude's doing all kinds of stuff to his body to make sure he can stay in tip-top shape. Still playing in his 40s. And this is why you're looking at Derrick Henry. He's defying all odds. 31 years old. He is the second most dominant back in the league. And if, and you can't take away the explosive plays. But if you gave me a choice between Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, I'm taking Derrick Henry. I would literally take Derrick Henry with Saquon Barkley. I would. Derrick Henry is a physical specimen. You want this dude. This dude is, people talk about generational running backs. I just can't believe we don't use this more with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is literally size, power, speed. This dude's a generational running back. Generational. Derrick Henry could play in any era. Any era. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2010s, you name it. Derrick Henry can play in any last one of them. Saquon Barkley, I'm not sure generational yet. He is definitely a home run hitter. My problem with Saquon, it was the same even in New York. My problem with Saquon is Saquon Barkley, to me, is not the type of running back like when you get in like a game that's, hey, man, we're going to need this game going to be like 5 and 6 at a time. Saquon, to me, just not that type of back. He's just not that type of back. Derrick Henry, to me, is the type of back you can say, man, all kinds of ways. You want the short game, we'll give you the short game. You want the long game, we'll give you the long game. You want the power game, we'll give you the power game. You want the finesse game, we'll give you the finesse game. Derrick Henry can do all of them. He can do all of them. And, we're kind of picking nits here. I mean, Saquon Barkley is an absolute monster. He did get 2,000 yards. But I think Derrick Henry is the type of back, he can even do that with a lesser offensive line. I mean, we saw the stuff he was doing in Tennessee. Derrick Henry, man, this dude has changed life. I mean, we talking about what Saquon Barkley has done what he's done for the Eagles. What about what Derrick Henry has done for Lamar Jackson? And we're going to see if it continues to come to fruition. Let me skip down some and catch y'all down here in the comments. Let me go about halfway down. Let me start with Wicked. What's going on? Wicked in the chat. Man, Wicked. Come on, man. Man. Wicked, man, you got to talk to us. Your Pittsburgh Steelers, for whatever reason, and let's not act like that the Baltimore Ravens didn't come out and punch them in the mouth. I mean, man, Mike Tyson said it. Everybody got to play until they get punched in the face. Baltimore Ravens came out and just basically punched the Baltimore Ravens came out and punched the Steelers in the face. But, man, Wicked. The way they looked in the first half, that was crazy to me. That was crazy to me. Wicked says, happy for Houston and Baltimore. He said the Steelers' performance was expected. Now turn the page and start fresh with Justin Fields and hire a real quality OC. Yeah, that Greg Roman thing is crazy to me. Is that who they're saying? He's the OC, right? That's crazy to me. I think Willie T might have pointed that out. My problem is, Wicked, I don't understand why they didn't get Justin Fields involved tonight. Why did they have to turn the page? Justin Fields, the way they worked him into the snow game at Cleveland, should have been the Justin Fields package. I'm sorry, Justin Fields, he's too talented. He's too athletically gifted. He's too talented to be sitting on the sideline. He's just too talented. I said the same thing about Trey Lance. Trey Lance is too talented. I would have even had Trey Lance playing when Dak Prescott was playing. Hey, Trey Lance, we're on the goal line, man. Hey, it's like 3rd and 1. Hey, go in there and run this ball in the end zone. Better yet, fake it like you're going to run it in the end zone. Read option, whatever you got to do. I'm using a player like that. Why does he have to sit on the sideline? I mean, the quarterback doesn't have an ego that he's thinking this guy going to take his place. Because if the guy was going to take his place, he would have already taken it. Justin Fields should have been on the field. They should have been using him in some type of way. I don't care if you put him you put him and Russ out there at the same time. How about throw it over to Justin Fields and then let him throw it down the field? Throw it over to Justin Fields. Let him fake like he's going to throw it down the field and run a screen. Put him in for half a series. Hey, Russ, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to let Justin run. We're going to let Fields run 2-minute offense. And it's going to basically be run. Read option, run. I mean, how do you have this guy? Russ isn't under contract for next year. So at the end of the day, Russ ain't worried about nobody hurting his feelings. Russ right now, man, Russ just trying to win. Russ got a great life off the field. Man, Russ just trying to win. Russ is mentoring Justin Fields. It would not have bothered Russell Wilson for Justin Fields to be involved in the game and help the team win. Russell Wilson is just different like that now. I don't understand it. I don't. Michael Wright. It's ironic. I was just talking about Trey Lance. You said Justin Fields is another Trey Lance. I would have used him. I would have used Justin Fields. If he's another Trey Lance, then doggone it, I'm going to use him. He's going to run the ball. He's going to do something. He's too talented not to be running the ball. Real Vibe said facts. That's what Jerry did to Dak, making him stay in the pocket since the injury. I mean, man, if you're going to make him stay in the pocket, I mean, you better go out and get him a show enough run game. And it's ironic that you said that, Real Vibe, because it was so funny, and it wasn't funny. But Jerry said the week the Dak got hurt on the radio, that Thursday, I think it was, you know, these running quarterbacks, all these quarterbacks that run are all getting hurt. Dak came out the next game and got hurt. So I hope Dak got whatever this is ready to go, because it looks like he's out running, no crutches or nothing like that. Alan Beckman says Jerry's gonna. Let's see, you say he's gonna draft Kyron Lacy. Okay, let's see who this is. LSU wide receiver. Let me look here and see what this dude looking like. Okay, I'm not tripping on the fact he's 6'2", 213. Okay, I can live with that. Okay. What's his speed like? So, what is this you talk? You said it's Kyron Lacy. So I hope this doesn't turn into anything. Kyron Lacy facing charges stemming from a fatal car crash. It's January the 11th. Are you aware of this? Alan Beckham? Are you aware of this thing with the wide receiver Kyron Lacy? Says he's responsible for the death that killed a 78-year-old woman on December 17th and then fleeing the scene without rendering aid or calling authorities. Louisiana State Police said Friday that Lacy will be charged with negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle. Police said they have been in contact with Lacy and his attorney to turn himself in. Are you aware of this, Alan Beckham? From the looks of it, don't look like nobody gonna be drafting. It don't look like nobody gonna be drafting this kid. Says right here, according to news releases from state police, Lacy was allegedly driving a 2023 Dodge Charger, one of these dangerous cars. And it's not the car that's dangerous, but people who drive those cars, they tend to drive them very fast. Dodge Charger on Louisiana Highway 20 and recklessly passed multiple vehicles at a high rate of speed by crossing the center line and entering the northbound lane. This happens all the time. I'm up here in the DFW area. People do this junk all the time, crossing the center line and entering the northbound lane while in the designated no pass zone. Happens all the time. He says as Lacy was illegally passing other vehicles, the driver of a northbound pickup truck abruptly braked and swerved to the right to avoid a head-on collision with the approaching Dodge. At Louis, whoo, golly. Traveling behind the pickup was a 2017 Kia Cadenza whose driver swerved left to avoid the oncoming Dodge Charger. As the Kia Cadenza took evasive action to avoid impact with the Dodge, it crossed the center line and collided head-on with a southbound 2017 Kia Sorento. Police alleged that Lacy, 24, drove around the crash scene and fled without stopping to render aid, call emergency services, or report his involvement in the crash. Golly. We strongly believe that the facts will demonstrate the truth, but we respect the need for a full and thorough investigation. Maybe there's a reason why you're saying that. I don't know. Maybe you're saying that because I don't know. Kyron Lacy, though, it don't like he gonna be doing anything. Andre Mosley. All the teams are souped up right now. Cowboys must soup up their team as well. They are. They are, Andre. And they're souping them up with run games. Michael Wright. Dallas better get a monster running back in the first. And I'm telling you now, I don't think Ashton Genty is going to be available. But I've already said this year. This 2025 draft class, is loaded with running backs. It is absolutely loaded. There is no reason for multiple teams. There's no reason for multiple teams not having great backs. There's just no excuse. No excuse. Let me pull this up. There is just no reason. There's no reason when you look at this. Everybody got Ashton Jeanty number 1. I don't think the Cowboys are going to get Ashton Jeanty. I don't think Ashton Jeanty is going to be on the board. But I do think that they will have an opportunity to get Omarion Hampton. I like Omarion Hampton. But I'll tell you the other running back that I like. I'm thinking this may be the guy. Hey, let me see. I wish they had their numbers. I would like to have the running back from Ohio State. This dude reminded me of Ezekiel Elliott the other night. He literally reminded me of Ezekiel Elliott. Let's see here. Is that Trayvon Henderson? Or is that, no, I think that's, okay, yeah. That is actually the other kid. Hold on a second. This kid actually reminded me of Ezekiel Elliott. And I don't even know if this is the kid. I thought this guy was number 2 the other night. These two Ohio State running backs, I mean, both of these guys, one runs a 4.39. I mean, I'm sorry. There is no excuse for the Cowboys not to get a running back. I mean, an explosive running back. Trayvon Henderson, 4.39. Quinshawn Judkins, 6 feet tall, 4.49. I mean, this kid, even from Kansas State, I think it is, 5'11", 4'5", but I probably wouldn't be looking for him. But I do like the Nicholas Singleton, 6 feet, 4.39. I'm looking for speed. Guys who can get and hit the home run. Bigger guys that can hit the home run. A lot of people been talking about Cam Scatterbo. Nah, I can't do that one. Man, I mean, he played pretty good. Now, if I could get him as my second running back, oh, I'm in business. I would love to have him as a player on my team. I could see him being more of a gadget guy. I could really see this dude, Scatterbo, being more of a gadget guy. He might run a 4.62. He don't look like he run a 4.62. He's very crafty. But as far as the Cowboys go with these running backs, man, there is no excuse. I don't think Jeanty is going to be an option. Because the San Francisco 49ers are right in front of us. They're going to probably be looking at a guy like a Jeanty. But if I'm the Cowboys, Omarion Hampton, if I don't get the running back in the first round, I got to get him in the second round. And I do think one of these Ohio State guys will be still available in the second half. I'll be putting my draft together here in the next week. But I do think these two Ohio State guys, one of these guys will be available where the Cowboys are drafting. I think they will be available in the second round. So if I'm the Cowboys in this draft, I hate to admit it. I don't know if I hate to admit it. I want the Cowboys to go offense. But. If this dude right here is available, I'm sorry. If this dude is available when the Cowboys come up, you can't pass this dude. You can't pass this dude up. You put Abdul Carter, Micah Parsons, Damarion Overshown on the same defense? Man, you put these dudes on the same defense? Man, the Cowboys will be a mess They will be a mess to stop them. I mean, woo, I just don't think teams will want to see him. I want them to get Abdul Carter if Abdul Carter is there. I hate to say it. The reason why I hate to say it is because I think the Cowboys need a super stud at wide receiver. I think they need a super stud. And this draft class is so deep at running back. I think the Cowboys can, I mean, really, for me, if I'm the Cowboys, it depends on who's there at 12. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm going to have my trigger ready. Because if Abdul Carter is not there, Ashton Genty is not there, and if I kind of got a good understanding as in talking to different teams, as in kind of getting the temperature of what they might want, talking and trading some of those picks they have, seeing what they, you can kind of get some info through that too. Cowboys got 10 picks. I would trade some of those later ones and try to move up back to the 4th. If I'm the Cowboys and I can forecast some kind of way that as deep as this running back class is, and I can get Hampton by moving back, or if I can get one of those guys from Ohio State and trade back, I can get an extra pick. Maybe I can get an extra 3rd or an extra 4th. I would be willing to trade back if I can get one of those guys. Then I can get, because I just think the Cowboys need a super stud at wide receiver. And I can show you the guy. This is the guy right here on my draft board right now. This dude right here. I don't know what everybody else looking at, but this McMillan kid, man, this McMillan kid top of the draft for me, man. This McMillan kid right here, man. This dude right here, 6'5", large catch radius. He'll be a problem for, y'all might not realize it, but a lot of NFL teams, they have average size to even short sometimes cornerbacks. A lot of the cornerbacks in the NFL, they kind of hover around maybe that 6 foot, 5'11", 6'1" area. Man, you get a doggone wide receiver up in this thing, man, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", especially 6'5". They are a menace. They are a menace for these cornerbacks. I mean, this kid from Ohio State. Wait, this is Ohio State. Let's see. This kid right here, Trey Harris from Ole Miss. I'm sorry. The Cowboys have got to get one of these type of guys. I'm not sold on the Luther Burden kid. I would love to get this guy right here from Ohio State because I'm looking for size and speed. I think the Cowboys need to get more home run hitters. They need more home run hitters. They need guys who can catch the ball in space, and if you don't get your hands on them, they're gone. I think this is what the Cowboys need. So this kid right here, Egbuka, 6'1", 4'3", 40. Whoo, man. He on my draft board. I mean, these are the type of guys that I like, the bigger, faster guys, because I know they are problems for these average-sized cornerbacks. They're problems. They are absolute problems. This guy right here from, I think that's Stanford, absolute problem. 6'2", 4'4", they are absolute problems for these cornerbacks. I really think the Cowboys need to be looking at guys, flat out playmakers. Because when you think about our team, we don't have any playmakers beyond the quarterback and the wide receiver. We need more playmakers. We need playmakers running back. Willie T got on me today because I was talking about Jake Ferguson. Hey, man. Schoonmaker is more of a possession tight end. He's that guy that's trying to get you them 5 to 7. Ferguson, we thought, was a seam guy, so they'll probably give him another shot this year. But I'm sorry, the Cowboys should really be considering getting them another tight end. I mean, if you can go in this draft and get a tight end in the later rounds, man, scout out one of these guys and get them. We need some playmakers. Jerry didn't make Dak stay in the pocket. Nah, I'm gonna disagree with you, Dak, because Dak delusional, because it seemed like when Jerry is saying something, Jerry isn't just saying something for no reason. No, Jerry was implying he did not want Dak Prescott to run. He literally implied that. He said it. I don't want Dak running. Those running quarterbacks get hurt. Well, we knew Dak as a running quarterback. So he's talking about Dak Prescott. Jerry was not saying that for nothing. It's not a blame thing. It's true. Cowboys, no. Oh, man, come on, Dak. Your name fits you perfect, bro. Your name fits you perfect. To say that they had Lamar and Hurts and Trey Lance, man, stop it. Nah. Lance ain't that. Lance can run the ball, but he ain't that. Nah. He ain't that. He's especially not Lamar Jackson. He ain't that. There ain't nobody that's Lamar Jackson. Cowboy hater herder, what's going on? He says we're Cowboy fans. I'm not worried about what Lamar or Hurts does. Yeah, but Cowboy hater herder, understand. We have a vested interest in what the Ravens and the Eagles and the Detroit Lions are doing. We have a vested interest. Because what those two teams have done is exactly what we need to do. And that's why I'm talking about them. They paid them their money, and then they persisted to put top flight players around them. We have a vested interest in this. And I'm telling y'all, there's a reason why 105.3 The Fan continues to ask Jerry Jones about what he's seeing these other playoff teams do, because they're thinking the same way. And they're trying to tell Jerry, because you really can't tell Jerry, in the way that you want to, but Cowboy hater herder, they're trying to tell Jerry, Jerry, are you paying attention to what's going on around you? Everybody is putting players around their quarterback, in particular, a running game, a second wide receiver, putting a defense on the other side, building the offensive line. Jerry, are you paying attention? You better believe he is, because Jerry said it as much in the interview. Yeah, I am paying attention. The way those guys have put those teams together, yeah, they put together some good teams. You better believe it. You can't deny it. The greatest form of flattery is copying. You got to look at what other people are doing. When you're not doing it good, then look at who's doing it good. And then you emulate what they're doing. And you put your own wrinkle on it. That's what makes the world go round. Folks look at other folks' ideas and say, oh, man, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that too, but I'm going to do something a little bit different with it. Cowboys, man, what we're watching with these teams, Baltimore, Detroit, Philly, we can apply that to our own team. Even the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, they have taken the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands as much. This is why he has less turnovers. This is why they have less turnovers. But I don't really think they can do anything with I don't think the Buffalo Bills can do anything with Kansas City and the Baltimore Ravens. Alan Beckham, Dion and Jerry say Kyron Lacey is the answer. How? How is he the answer? Unless they know something that we don't know, because this just happened. This happened January the 10th. I don't know. Am I reading the date wrong here? This is January the 10th, 2025 at 3:16 p.m. This just happened. Yes, what was it? The day is this just happened on Friday. I'm sorry, but Kyron Lacy, it don't look like he's going to be the answer for anything right now. Prayers out to those families. Allen, it don't look like he's the answer for anything unless they're talking about a different Kyron Lacy for LSU. He's not going to be doing anything for anybody for a while. The real fan, if Dak doesn't throw more than 25 times, why even give him $60 million a year? Cooper Rush and Trey Lance can do that. Nah, they can't. Not like Dak. Because if he's going to throw the ball 25 times, real fan one, he's going to eat. We're not talking about them measly 4 and 5 yard passes. When you can run the ball, it opens the field up. It opens the game up down the field. It opens up the game downfield. Dak will be able to hit large chunk plays if teams, because see, what we got to do, real fan one, Shanahan, everybody think it's Green Bay. Green Bay is not the one that came up with the formula for beating the Dallas Cowboys. Kyle Shanahan and his father in that team. See, Kyle still has his dad working with him. His dad will go in and break down a lot of film and break down teams and help them come up with the plans on how they stop these teams. See, a lot of people don't understand that. Kyle and his dad still work together. The 49ers are the ones who came up with the formula for stopping Dak Prescott. Does anybody not remember what they were saying about Dak Prescott? Dak was feasting on teams that were blitzing him. He was feasting on teams. Dak was eating teams alive with this stuff. Kyle Shanahan gave everybody the blueprint. Okay. I know how you stop Dak Prescott. They even start saying this about Patrick Mahomes. I know how we stop Patrick Mahomes. We're going to rush 4 and drop 7. And if you notice, this is how some of these teams are even built right now. Philly, they're built like this. Detroit, they were built like this. Now they're decimated with injuries. We'll see how they continue to go on. You even look at the Baltimore Ravens. You look at some of these teams. Even the Texans are built like this. If I can rush 4 and drop 7 in coverage, well, this is how I stop a quarterback that can literally rip us to pieces. We cover everything short, and we cover everything deep, and we give a very small window in the middle. And if he's going to throw in the middle, we'll get linebackers that are fast enough, or we'll get our linebackers to play back just enough to where if it's short, they get there. They can stop some of the slant plays. If it's far enough, they can backpedal, get their hands up, tip, interception, whatever the case may be. And so the windows become very tight in those defenses. The windows become very tight. Very tight. So you're having to do things like throw over the head of a linebacker, throw over the head of a cornerback, throw over the head of a safety, or you got to fit it in between 3 guys in the zone. That stuff, we don't realize it. That stuff is difficult. It's difficult. So you know how you stop cover 2? You run on it. You run on it. You run on cover 2, real fan one. That's how you stop these teams. This is why folk got to understand the method to the madness. This is why Andy Reid has done what he's done the last 2 seasons. You know what he did? Because teams started getting smart. Okay, we got something for Patrick Mahomes. We'll rush 4 and drop 7. Not everyone's capable of doing it. The problem is not everyone's capable of doing it. But when you get the teams that can do it, they can do it well. And one of the teams that can do this well, the Denver Broncos. Anybody notice what they did to Kansas City this year? When you get teams that can do that stuff and do it well, they become a problem, even for the best quarterbacks. Because now if I got that 7 in coverage, it's hard to go to my first read. How do I go to my first read? If I go to my first read, they got everything kind of covered underneath. So now I got to go to my second. This is what was happening to Dak Prescott this year. Dak's not going to the first. He's trying to go to the second. And he's trying to climb his way. In some of these games, he was trying to climb his way to CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb just wasn't playing the way he was playing as he got towards the midseason. We may not realize it, but CeeDee Lamb started playing better towards midseason. Why? He missed training camp. Training camp matters. Training camp matters. So when you start talking about all of these things, remember what they were saying? Dak Prescott, all these tight window throws. Why? Rush 4. Rush 4, drop 7. I mean, teams were literally getting to the Cowboys with a 4-man rush. If I can get to your quarterback with a 4-man rush, he's going to have a tough day all day. Guess what happened to Justin Herbert today? Man, when teams can do that to you, it's a wrap. No, you want your quarterback. You want your quarterback. And we got to get out of this mode of thinking. Just because we paid Dak Prescott, we should not be wanting him to throw the ball 35 and 45 times. It's a recipe for disaster. No, we want him to throw the ball 25 times. Let me show you a stat here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Even Colin Cowherd said this. I stole this from Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd said, Dak Prescott with a running game is Patrick Mahomes. Colin Cowherd said this. Dak Prescott is almost unbeatable with a running game. And we're not talking about an explosive run game. If you can just get Dak Prescott a 100-yard rusher, he's unbeatable. He's almost unbeatable. So I want you to look at this record right here. And this is why I'm telling you we need Dak Prescott to throw less. Not because he's bad, but if you're throwing the ball a lot, that typically means you're probably in some kind of shootout. It means that there's obviously nothing else you can do. You obviously can't run the ball if your quarterback has to throw for 300, 350, 400 yards. Let me show you something. This is Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is 29-7 when throwing the ball 30 attempts or less. This is Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is almost unbeatable. Look at this. And this was early on in Dak's career. 24 attempts. This is what you want. Did you notice what happened? They won the game. Do you know who the running back was? Ezekiel Elliott. They were tearing it up on the ground. And this is the very thing the Cowboys said. We would rather have Dak Prescott throwing the ball 25 times or less with a running game than having Tony Romo throwing it all over the place, scrambling or whatever he does, getting hurt, and even with a running game. They said they'd rather have this. Look at the completion percentage. People do not understand. Dak Prescott already has historical Hall of Fame numbers. The only thing he's missing is playoff wins in a Super Bowl, of which I do think he's going to get. Look at this. Look at this real fan one. 24 attempts, 18 completions. 27 attempts, 18 completions. 27 attempts, 21 completions. 24 attempts, 17 completions. I want you to look at the yards. 248, 227, 247, 247. It don't mean he's not going to eat, because Dak is going to eat, because there will be chunk plays. There will be seams wide open. You get those defenses out of that cloud cover 2 shell. You get them out of that cover 2. You make them have to start running some single high safety sometimes. You make them say, hey, man, we got to stop this run. Because if we don't stop the run, They're going to run us out of the stadium. And then when they start trying to stop the run, here come the chunk plays. Here come the chunk plays. Look at these games. 24-17. Only 195 yards. Won the game. This is that run that he made in his rookie season. 18 attempts, 12 completions. Beat the Minnesota Vikings. Only 139 yards. You're going to have some of these. That's okay. We got to be fine with winning those with the $230 million quarterback. We do. What's wrong with it? Are we paying him to throw yards or are we paying him to win? Look at this. 20 throws, 15 completions, but he 212 yards. Somewhere in there, Dak is eating. Dak is eating. Not sure what happened in this. Might have been an injury or something. This is 2017, but look at this. Dak is winning these games. 13 of 18. Look at this. 16 of 25, 14 of 22. They're winning these games. They're winning them. They're winning these games. 22. Look at this. 22, 27. He's 18 of 27. 29. He's 19 of 29. Lost that one. 25, 16 of 25. Won. 17 of 27. Won. I mean, you get Dak a running game and you start limiting these throws. Start limiting these throws. You go for quality. I'm one of these people. I believe in quality over quantity. I believe in quality. I'm not concerned with Dak Prescott throwing a bunch of times and getting a bunch of yards and racking up a bunch of touchdowns. I'm more concerned about the quality of the touchdowns, the quality of the throws. And do we have something else that's complementing what he's doing? Because if we have that, then I know that we can win a lot of games. But if we're going to continue to have the mindset of, again, if Dak Prescott got to be Superman, well, you better get ready because there are going to be teams that are going to bring the kryptonite. They're going to bring the kryptonite. And the kryptonite is that if Dak Prescott is going to drop back and throw the ball 30, 35, 40 times, well, okay, we'll drop back and cover 2. And the more he throws it, the more opportunities we're going to get at interceptions. Look at something here. And a lot of teams, let's see here. And a lot of teams are trying to go to this model. All right, let me see. Can I pull this up? Yeah, more and more teams are trying to go to this model. And when you can go with this model, man, you can win a lot of games. I mean, unless you're just going to put super stud receivers all over the place. And if you're going to do that, I mean, I guess you can throw all over the place. But most teams aren't built like that. I mean, they're just not built like that. It's very few teams that have those luxuries. I mean, I'm wondering what Cincinnati going to look like after this year because, man, they're going to have to pay the piper now. And once they pay Jamar Chase, Higgins might hit the open market, so we're gonna see. Michael Wright, too much. Ain't nobody want to run. Andre Bosey, Cowboys have put themselves in the hole. All teams are stacked. They're doing it. All these teams are stacking they stacking the deck. I said it, I'm saying it again. I would rather build the Justice League than Batman and Robin. I want the Justice League. I don't want Superman. I don't want Superman and Supergirl. I want the Justice League. I don't want Iron Man by himself. I want the Avengers. Teams are building, man. They are building the Avengers. Jared Thomas, I agree with. He has to be. Big Pat, exactly. Dak didn't make his salary. The NFL set that number. Dallas didn't have to pay it. Dak needs a running back.
Yeah! Here we go!
Exactly. Fail to realize those defenses are worried about Hurts and Lamar running also. No one worried about Dak. So now I'm going to destroy your argument. Are they worried about Jared Goff? Are they worried about Jared Goff running? So you know what Detroit said? Well, Jared Goff's not a runner. Let's get him 2 running backs. So if they're not afraid of Jared Goff running, they're going to be afraid of Montgomery and Gibbs running. This is the very reason why I've been saying the Cowboys need to get 2 running backs. They need to get 2 running backs. Because I don't think they're going to bring Rico Dowdle back, because Rico Dowdle is going to get paid. Not to mention, I think the Cowboys view Rico Dowdle. They've had him on ice for so long. I think Rico Dowdle is 26. The Cowboys don't want to give Rico Dowdle a 3 or 4 year deal. They've been here and done some of this stuff with Zeke. And they're definitely not going to do it for Rico, because their evaluation, I'm sure, is similar to mine and better than mine. Rico is not a home run hitter. Rico can get you yards and will get you yards, but he's not a home run hitter. He's the number 2 in the 1-2 punch. He's the grinder. He's the grinding running back. He's that guy, but he's not the home run hitter. Now they got to get the home run hitter in the draft. They have to get the home run hitter in the draft. Michael Wright, he says you're going to rebuild for 7 years. Yeah. They couldn't let Dak walk, Michael Wright. I don't know how hard it is for people to understand. But that's just the way it is. Sammy, I'm not saying I want Dak gone, but several teams changed quarterbacks and in the playoffs, 2 rookies this year. Yeah, and I get that part too. But at the same time, myself, I'm going to tell you what happens to older quarterbacks. When you have an older quarterback, they can play with their mind better than the younger quarterbacks. The younger quarterbacks, it's all about ability. But the problem is that ability only gets you so far depending upon the teams that you play. You get these older quarterbacks. You get the Tom Brady's. You get the Peyton Mannings. And Dak Prescott is one of the, now he's an elder statesman, because this league is, the quarterback position has gotten young in a lot of places, but he's an elder statesman. And the one thing we know about Dak Prescott, because even he's been talking about this, Dak has hit that age. And I wish we still did quarterbacks like this. Because once a quarterback gets to around year 8, 9, or 10, something clicks. What can you show him different? What can you show him different? They've seen everything by year 10. They've seen every defense. They've seen any kind of wrinkle you can put in. They can literally walk to the line and go, ooh, know what that is, know what that is, know what that is. And if you give those quarterbacks players, and this is what used to happen back in the day, those quarterbacks can win, and they can win big. Now, we might not realize it, but even Troy didn't start winning to what, like year 5? Even Troy didn't start winning to year 5. But like I said, Troy had a lot of players around him. So it's a little bit different when you got that many doggone players around you. But this is how teams used to build teams. You think about Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff is an older quarterback. Matthew Stafford, older quarterback. Matthew Stafford was a gunslinger back in the day. But Matthew Stafford today plays a lot better. He's an elder statesman. He sees the game differently. And Sean McVay knows all I got to do is get this dude players. All I have to do is get this dude players, and he will eat. And it's going to be the same thing for Dak. Yeah, we got Dak for at least 3 to 4 more years now. So it is what it is. Michael Wright says, want to be New England blueprint philosophy, the real extinct dead dinosaur mindset. Do you have eyes? Not really sure. Maybe you're talking about the fact that Tom Brady was an elder statesman. No, I'll take it. I'll take these older quarterbacks because do we not realize Patrick Mahomes is about to be one of these guys? A lot of these guys, I mean, the Josh Allens, I mean, they're all about to be these 30-plus-year-old quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes is 29. He's about to be a 30-plus-year-old quarterback. We're going to start seeing, don't you worry, we're going to get back to that cycle. We're going to start seeing some of these older quarterbacks. He is. All right, let me get through some more of these here. Coyote. No more excuses. Your boy Herbert was amazing today. Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Hey, I see you, Coyote. Coyote, stop telling the truth. Stop telling the truth, Coyote. Stop telling the truth. You know what's even funnier, Coyote? Go back and look at Michael Parsons since they had him in the playoffs. Go look at Zeke in the playoffs. Dak, unfortunately, Dak has been in the playoffs without teams. It's Dak or nothing. You know how I know it's Dak or nothing? Because even Jerry Jones said, we only go as far as Dak takes us. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens said, we've seen how far Lamar Jackson can take us. We've seen how far Lamar Jackson can take us being Superman. We need the Justice League. We need the Justice League. We got Zay Flowers. We got Wiley. We got him some pieces on the outside. We got him some pieces on the seam. I mean, he's really got a good tight end core when they're not hurt. We keep getting in pieces. We brought in Odell Beckham Jr. We keep bringing them pieces, but none of those are working. Oh, wait a minute. You know what we didn't think about? Because we've been allowing Lamar Jackson to be our running game, how about we actually bring in an elite running game? What an interesting concept, Baltimore. How about bringing in a running back who's better than the quarterback at running? Well, that's what they did. That's what they did. And me and my wife, as we were watching the game tonight, I said, do you notice that the Baltimore Ravens look different? I've watched all of the Baltimore Ravens playoffs games. All the Baltimore Ravens playoff games. I've watched every last one of them. You know what was different in this one? Every game that I've seen the Baltimore Ravens play in the playoffs, I always thought they're going to probably get beat today. Because the Baltimore Ravens were playing the same dumb game that the Cowboys played with Dak Prescott. They were playing the same dumb game with Lamar Jackson. We only go as far as Lamar Jackson takes us, where you're going nowhere. Because you don't build teams like that. You don't build teams to where a single solitary player is the one who drags you kicking and screaming all the way through the playoffs to the Super Bowl. You don't build teams like that. No, it's not how you build a team. I'm actually laughing. People give Patrick Mahomes all this credit like he's went to the Super Bowl with trash. What? Man, this dude had Tyreek Hill. This dude been had Travis Kelce. This dude got a defense. They continue to supplement Patrick Mahomes, and there's nothing wrong with it. They continue to supplement him with things that he needs to win. They continue to do it. And you watch what happens now that once he hits 30. He's going to hit 30 next year or this year. You watch what they're going to keep doing with Patrick Mahomes. The closer he gets to the end of that contract, you watch what they do. They're going to keep putting players around him. I would not be surprised. Everybody keep calling me, oh, yeah, the Cowboys got a good chance of getting Tyreek Hill. Stop it. Man, we're not paying Tyreek Hill. I wouldn't be shocked if he wound back up in Kansas City. I wouldn't. Janie, what's going on? I wouldn't. Michael Wright, he said Mike Tomlin should quit too. I think Mike Tomlin might need a change of venue. I think Mike Tomlin has overstayed his welcome in Pittsburgh. I'll be honest with you. I just think Tomlin is taking the Pittsburgh Steelers as far as he can take them. Unless they're going to completely do an overhaul for Mike Tomlin. I mean, a complete overhaul. It's going to be more of the same. Mike Tomlin is a great coach. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers and him both might need to realize maybe he's just not the coach for him anymore. It's just the bottom line. Maybe they need to let Mike Tomlin go and coach somewhere else. And Mike Tomlin might want to go somewhere else. I think Mike Tomlin would be a great fit for the Raiders. And then go in there and get this man some players. Mike Tomlin, I mean, I'm telling you, I would love for Mike Tomlin to be my coach, but I'm just saying, I just think when you've been with a team that long, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Let me see here. Mike Tomlin let's see here. I think he only has one Super Bowl win, if I'm not mistaken. He was the youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl in 2009 when he beat the Arizona Cardinals. So, again, how long do we let a guy ride a Super Bowl? Dang gone it, man. How long do we let a dude ride a Super Bowl? Now, I'm going to tell you the other part, and I know this might not sit well with some people. Same thing I'm saying about Mike McCarthy. People act like Mike McCarthy took over a team that was terrible and had to rebuild it. Oh, you didn't have to do nothing like that. No. He had Dak bleeping Prescott. He had Dak bleeping Prescott. He had a team. The problem is with Mike McCarthy is Mike McCarthy did not elevate the team the way people keep trying to say he did. And I'm not going to go back through it. Go back and check the video on my channel. Jason Garrett compared to Mike McCarthy. It is scary. It is scary. They both won with Dak Prescott. And one of the biggest problems for both of them was the same problem that Parcells had with Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones asked Tony Romo and Dak Prescott to do something he never asked Troy Aikman to do. Win it all. Jerry didn't ask Troy to win it all because Jimmy didn't ask Troy to win it all. They went and built a team that could win it all. And that's the difference. They've never built a team with Tony Romo. They never built a team with Dak Prescott that could win it all. Now, I'm just saying all of this as it pertains to Mike Tomlin. Now, one of the issues is Mike Tomlin took this team over from Bill Cowher. This was kind of like a Bill Cowher team. And it was it was a good coach team. They won the Super Bowl in 2006. And then they turned around again and won it in Pittsburgh won the Super Bowl in 2006, hired Tomlin in 2007, and they won the Super Bowl in 2009. I mean, you think about the Cowboys hired Barry Switzer, and it takes them 1 year to win a Super Bowl with the same team. Tomlin takes over for Cowher, wins a Super Bowl, not with the exact same team. Same thing with Barry Switzer. It wasn't the exact same team. They added Deion Sanders, and I'm pretty sure some other players too. But the significant add was Deion Sanders. But adding Deion Sanders was like adding 3 players. Wide receiver, check. Cornerback, shut down the whole side of the field, check. Punt returner, check. I mean, but it was basically still the same team. But the problem is, they haven't won a Super Bowl since. They just haven't won a Super Bowl since. And so the issue becomes, how long do you let a coach ride Super Bowls? Because I'm sorry, if we're talking about winning Super Bowls in the past, then every team in the league ought to be trying to get Bill Belichick. Every team in the league. Now, I wouldn't be going for Belichick because I saw what he looked like without Brady. But I think we can look at that in 2 ways. But if we think we have the quarterback that can win a Super Bowl, well, then you can get a Bill Belichick because you got a quarterback that you think they can win Super Bowls. So Bill Belichick would probably be right at home with him. Willie T said, "Gee, you so wrong." I don't know what you mean when you said I'm so wrong about Trey Lance. Someone said that Trey Lance they had Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts and Trey Lance. And I said that Trey Lance isn't that. I don't really know what you're talking about. I didn't say Trey. No, Trey Lance is not Lamar Jackson. And Trey Lance, I don't even think he's Jalen Hurts. I don't. But I do think he is talented. No, we can't take away from the fact that he's talented. He is talented. But he's talented in his own way. Willie T, I got news for you. And I know you may have some people the same way. But I got people who, I know people who've played in this league. And they set me straight on some things. And I'm telling you something, man. You have to be talented to be in the pros. Even Cooper Rush. We don't even realize this. You still have to be talented to be in the pros. These are the best of the best. Only problem is because it's the best of the best, it starts to separate those who may not be the best. But if you put Cooper Rush in a pickup game, he's destroying people all over the field because he's better than us. He's better than even a lot of college dudes. But when you get to the pros, it's different. But you got to understand, man, no. Trey Lance, he's not Lamar Jackson, but who is? He's not Jalen Hurts, but who is? But I do think Trey Lance can win in this league. He can. Justin Fields is way better than Trey Lance. I'm not going to say he's way better than Trey Lance yet. And the reason why I'm not going to say that is because we have to understand the road that both of them took. The road that both of them took are totally different. Trey Lance on physical ability. Trey Lance made it to this level. You know why that is, right? Because Trey Lance has been dominant on every level. I know we may not realize that. Trey Lance, because of his talent, Trey Lance has been dominant on every level. See, we throw this stuff away. We throw this stuff away, and I feel sorry. I do feel sorry sometimes for certain players, because sometimes they come into this league. Certain players come into this league and they go to the wrong teams, and when they get thrown in the trash. And I just wonder sometimes, what would these quarterbacks look like if they were, what would they look like if they were on a team? What would Trey Lance look like if Andy Reid would have got a hold of it? What would Mitchell Trubisky look like? I mean, the Chicago Bears are literally quarterback killers. What was the kid that played for the Zach Wilson for the Jets? I wonder what does Zach Wilson look like if he goes to Andy Reid. Gets to sit behind another quarterback, gets to sit behind Alex Smith for 2 years. Learns everything about Andy Reid's offense. I wonder what he looks like. See, we don't understand. We don't understand. These things matter. They matter. And sometimes we're thinking, we're looking at, hey, man, this dude is that much better than this dude, and this dude is that much better than this dude. No, we may not realize it, but maybe they didn't get a chance to go to a team that could really bring the best out of them. Because I'm just telling you, man, you don't make it to this league. You don't make it to this league being, man, you don't make it to this league not being talented. And there had to be something that people saw in Trey Lance that had folk willing, man, they was giving up the farm for this dude. And Trey Lance, in the year that he got hurt, Trey Lance was playing pretty good. Trey Lance was playing pretty good. I mean, it all depends on who you ask. No Cap said that he was at some of the practices and he said he was terrible, but oh, okay, you're talking about Justin Fields being way better than Trey Lance. Okay, on that part. But like I'm saying, they took two different roads. Justin Fields, I want you to think about this. Justin Fields went to the Ohio State, right? Justin Fields, I'm sure, I'm just going to make sure. Yeah, he's Ohio State, right? I wonder who he played with. Who were the players? I want you to think about the players and the coaching that Justin Fields got at Ohio State versus Trey Lance at North Dakota State. Who do you think got the better program? Who do you think got the better program? Who do you think has the better coaches, the better play callers, the better trainers? I mean, who do you think has more around them? Justin Fields or Trey Lance? Anybody remember anybody play with Trey Lance? Anybody remember any players from North Dakota State that played with Trey Lance? Anybody? Because I'm sure some of y'all who watch college football more than I do, but I'm sure there are some of y'all who can tell me plenty of players that played with Justin Fields at Ohio State. I actually watched Justin Fields. I was a big fan of him at Ohio State. And I think the thing that even happened to Justin Fields, I think the worst thing that happened to Justin Fields is he wound up getting drafted by the doggone, he got drafted by the Chicago Bears. They're quarterback killers. The Chicago Bears are quarterback killers. I would never go to the Chicago Bears. I would have balked on them in a heartbeat. If I could, however I could do it, I am balking on the Chicago Bears. Because just like Trey Lance, do we really know how good Justin Fields really is? We don't even know how good he is. What kind of development plan do they have in Chicago for a pro quarterback? All I can tell you is they've ran through quarterbacks. And you know what's crazy? I'm thinking of the best quarterback they've had. Let's see. I remember his name. So and they couldn't stand this dude. I forgot this dude's name. Let me see here. Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler. So let's think about the list of quarterbacks that the Chicago Bears have literally murdered. So they've had Jim Harbaugh, Steve Walsh, Eric Kramer, Dave Krieg, Eric Kramer again, Shane Matthews, Cade McNown, Jim Miller. They had Cordell Stewart in 2003, Craig Krenzel in 2004, Kyle Orton in 2005, Rex Grossman in 2006, Rex Grossman in 2007, and he got him to a Super Bowl. Kyle Orton, 2008. Jay Cutler has probably been the best quarterback they've had since Jim McMahon. Jay Cutler was the quarterback from 2009 to 2015. And Jay Cutler was highly skilled, very arrogant. A lot of people didn't like him. Matt Barkley, Mitchell Trubisky, then Justin Fields. I mean, they're quarterback killers. They are quarterback. I would never go to that team. I mean, if I could help it, I would never go to that team. Just makes you wonder. I mean, and think about all the coaches they've been through. All the coaches that the Chicago Bears have been through. It's just been one coach after another one with the Chicago Bears. Is it the quarterback's fault? Is it the coach's fault? They got a problem in Chicago. And so I'm saying all that to say, do we really know if Justin Fields, I mean, what is he? See, now we don't even know what Justin Fields is. I wonder, what is Justin Fields? If he goes to the Chiefs, what if he's actually drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers? What does he look like if he starts out with them? What does he look like? I'm telling you, man, sometimes with these quarterbacks, we got to be thinking about the fact that maybe some of these guys are actually better than we think they are. They just hadn't got with the right person. Because I'm telling you, man, when I saw Michael Vick with Andy Reid, man, it made me realize something. Boy, what could have been? If Andy Reid would have got Michael Vick in his prime, oh, man. He'd have got Michael Vick in his prime. Super Bowls. He'd have did something with Michael Vick. It matters, man, when you get these coaches. Wicked says Arthur Smith is the Steelers' offensive coordinator. He was trashing Atlanta. He's trashing Pittsburgh. We need an OC like the Lions have and the Ravens have now. Arthur Smith is too predictable. And, I think the Steelers have kind of prided themselves on being a defensive team. But I think they're going to have to start rethinking some of these things. I mean, and you know what? Wicked, as much as we may hate to admit it, might be time for Tomlin to change scenery. He said Coop trash. He said Coop trash because I want a quarterback from Ohio State Bucks. Janie, Russell Wilson needs to retire. He's just a little too slow. You know what, Janie? Russell Wilson is an elder statesman. In order for you to win with Wilson now, in his current state, you're going to need a plethora of players around Russell Wilson. You're just going to need a plethora of players. You are. There's no other way to do it. There's going to have to be a plethora of players around him. Sandman said, imagine hiring Peyton and drafting Bo Nix. Hiring Peyton. Sean Payton. Yeah. Oh, I think Sean Payton would have ate with Dak Prescott, though. He'd have been fine. Sean Payton would have ate with Dak Prescott. There is no doubt in my mind. Sean Payton would have ate with Dak Prescott. Willie T said, okay, G, I get you just making this. Okay, whatever. Yeah, Willie. Oh, you said Lacey. Willie T says, yep. Yeah. Lacey's done for. I feel so sorry for him, but he's done for. Genty fell to 12. You take him passing on that talent. Genty fell to 12. You take him passing on that talent is just dumb. I just don't think he's going to fall there. I mean, if it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. He's not fall. I don't think Genty is falling to the Cowboys. If Genty is there, yeah, you take him. But I don't think he's going to be there. But I'll tell you this. See, I'm different. I just think different. I think we have to be careful when we start talking about running backs or any player being generational players. I think we have to be careful with that. Because if I'm the Cowboys, and if you're telling me that Abdul Carter and Ashton Genty are both available, but you're also telling me, Willie T, that I can get Abdul Carter and still get Omarion Hampton, or I can get Abdul Carter and one of those running backs from Ohio State, if I can get Abdul Carter and still get some of these running backs that are the top of their class, man, there is no way. There is no way I'm passing. I am not passing on Abdul Carter. I'm not. Especially if I know. So tell me, what's the drop-off between Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton? What's the drop-off? What's the drop-off? What's the drop-off, Willie T? What's the drop-off? What's the drop-off between Ashton Genty? What's the drop-off between him and Quinshon Judkins? What's the drop-off? What's the drop-off between him and Nicholas Singleton? Brashard Smith. I mean, and I'm looking at speedsters. What's the drop-off? You telling me I can get Abdul Carter and still get Omarion Hampton, but I'm going to take Ashton Genty, pass on Abdul Carter. Nah, bro, I'm taking the 2 for 1. You can call me stupid all you want to. Me and you think different. But I'm trying to build a team. I'm not trying to do what the Dallas Cowboys do way too often. This team, since Jimmy Johnson, the only thing they try to do is be top heavy. That's all they try to do. I got news for us. You might not realize this, but you don't always have to have the top running back in the draft or the top running back in college to have a great running game. You don't. You don't have to have it. You don't. I know that's what we think, but you don't have to have that. You don't. I mean, you look at Emmitt Smith, for example. So you don't think there were other great running backs? You don't think there were other great running backs in the draft? I guarantee you it was. But the difference for them versus Emmitt Smith, and we don't give this enough credence, it's the team that Emmitt Smith played for and the line he ran behind. What's the drop-off from Emmitt Smith to Thurman Thomas? What's the drop-off? I mean, I just wonder, what's the drop-off? What's the drop-off? I'm telling you, we need to be very careful talking about Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty, I'm sure, is going to be a great running back. But even him, it's going to depend on the team that he goes to as much as that's going to determine how much he wins. Ashton Genty by himself is not turning around a team. I'll tell you this, Willie T, and anybody else. I'll give you Ashton Genty all day long. But I bet you if I put Omarion Hampton on my team and Abdul Carter, I bet you I'm beating your team. I bet you I'm beating your team. And y'all can tell me anything you want to. But Ashton Genty's competition, he looked a little bit different against Penn State. Ashton Genty looked a little bit different against Penn State. Penn State said, no, can do. Not here, you're not. You're not doing that today. He looked different against me. He looked a lot different. He looked a lot different against Penn State. And so for me, man, if I can get Abdul Carter, I will get Abdul Carter and get one of those other running backs rather than taking Ashton Genty, and I'm still concerned about how am I going to build my defense. Ashton, hey, and it's not just about getting Abdul Carter, because you could ask the same question, what's the drop-off? But for me, if I can get Abdul Carter and another running back versus just getting Ashton Genty and then wondering, like, who am I going to get to be close to Abdul? No, Abdul Carter is, make no mistake about it, this dude is literally a top 10 pick. I won't be surprised because I don't think even Abdul Carter, you know, some people are saying if he's on the draft board, I mean, I don't even think the Cowboys are going to get close to Abdul Carter. I don't even think they're going to get close to Abdul Carter. I don't even think it's a point of even talking about, I don't even think it's a point of talking about Ashton Genty. I just don't think the Cowboys are getting close to Ashton Genty. Now, according to Tankatron, and they say Tankatron is pretty. They say Tankatron's been pretty accurate. I need to go back and look. But this is what they're saying. They're saying the Cowboys are going to get Ashton Genty. But I want you to see this too. It's like I said, if Abdul Carter is on the board, problem is he's not going to be on the board. Abdul Carter is not going to be on the board. Now, for me, there are actually a couple of these players that me personally, and there's two in particular. There are two of these players in particular that I'm taking over Ashton Genty. This is me. I'm taking McMillan over Ashton Genty. And the reason why I'm taking McMillan over Ashton Genty is because, one, this team was able to do something just with Rico Dowdle. So for me, the biggest need for this team, looking at 2 years, the last 2 years, the biggest need for this team has been the fact that they need another bona fide wide receiver. I would take McMillan over Ashton Genty. Why? Because I already know, based on the running backs in the draft, I can get McMillan. But can I get another wide receiver that's going to be as good as McMillan? I'm taking McMillan, and I'll just get me another running back in the draft because I know I can. But these players right here, these players that you're looking at, there is a reason, and I'm not knocking Ashton. He's number 12, but there's a reason why these players are these players are top 10 players. There's a reason. And when you start talking about top 5 players, there's a reason why they're top 5 players. They're literally expecting these guys to come in and make an immediate difference. This is me, but I'm getting McMillan first. I know I can get another running back in a second. And I don't think the drop-off is going to be what people think it is, from Genty to the guys from Ohio State to the Omarion Hampton kid. I just don't think it's going to be that. But me, I'm literally taking McMillan and Carter if they're on the board from the Cowboys. If I got to pick between those three and Genty, I would get McMillan first or Abdul Carter first. I would. I mean, that's not crazy. That's just my opinion. Just like you, if you want to get Ashton Genty, I wouldn't be mad at you because Ashton Genty, he looks like he's going to be a good to great running back. But again, I mean, we saw him in the college playoffs, but we've also seen these other kids in the playoffs, and I'm sorry, There are some other players worth getting drafted in this thing. It is. Ron said the entire Cowboys team rushed for 2,331 yards on the season, and Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry is about to eclipse that by himself. Yes, sir, he is. Boy, he is, man. It's crazy. It is crazy. Yes, sir. Ron said Cam Scatterbo in the late second or early third. Man, I tell you what, I would take him as a gadget guy. I really would take him as a gadget guy. He would be great as a number 2 or 3 running back. But if he's going to be a 3, he's definitely got to be somebody that I got to keep on the field quite a bit. Okay, Judkins wears number 1. Okay, I was looking for the kid that wears number 2. You said we have Hunter. Why draft Scatterbo? I think Scatterbo is a lot more versatile than Hunter Lipke. Hunter Lipke is more of a fullback tight end hybrid. Scatterbo to me is more of a running back slot receiver hybrid. I'd rather have Scatterbo. Yeah, we got to get a running back. And that's why I say run. I don't think we can go wrong. Even if we don't get Ashton Jeanty. I just think we got to get one of the top 5 running backs. I don't think we have to get Jeanty. We just need to get one of the top 5 running backs. 49ers not drafting a first-round pick. I'm not sure, Willie T, but it says that the 49ers are actually drafting number 11. Unless they gave that draft pick away. I really don't know what that means. I'm not as well versed in it. Let me see here. Because Tankatron has them with a number 1 draft pick. Let me look it up. I think they've gotten past the Trey Lance debacle. Let me see here. I know they gave up the first round pick. Yeah, they actually do have a number 1 draft pick this season. Yeah. Yeah, they do have a first round draft pick. They've gotten past the Trey Lance thing. They do have a draft pick. So they will be number 11. Yeah, they do have a draft pick, Willie. Demo said that Demo continues to say he's playing later in the season. I actually hope that he doesn't. But when I'm talking about Demo, I'm talking about 2026 anyway. Abdul Carter with overshown healthy and Parsons is a video game cheat code. For real, the real Daryl. That's why I would want him. No, I'm taking that. If Abdul Carter and Jeanty would both be on that board, I wouldn't even blink. I would not even blink, man. I would not even blink. Abdul Carter will be drafted before Jeanty. Yeah. I know y'all a little bit behind me, obviously, but yeah. Abdul Carter, he's not gonna be on that board. He is not gonna be on that board. But boy, if he was, if I had the choice, man, and I'm going for McMillan too. I would go for McMillan before Jeanty. But they're saying, according to Tankatron, we're going to see, Ashton Jeanty has basically been begging the Dallas Cowboys to draft him. So they're going to have their opportunity. Willie T. Sandman, Dak wouldn't have been a backup. No. They already said that Dak would have been bottom of the first, top of the second. No, Dak wouldn't have been the backup. Not possible. Savion Williams, TCU receiver. Woo, yeah. Somebody's been talking. Is that you who been talking about him, Willie T? Somebody else has been talking about him. Yeah, TCU Horned Frogs. I'm going to have to go back and look at his tape. But yeah, anytime you tell me that a wide receiver is 6'5", man, I'm in. And you talking about 4'3", I'm in. I'm in. I am in. Anytime you're talking about a dude that big, I'm in. I am in on this. Yes, sir. Yeah, I would definitely get him. I'm just wondering, though. Could you get him? I wonder if he'd be there in a second. Let me look. Let's see. You said his name, Savior. I'm just trying to see where they have him on Tankatron. See, they don't even have him in the first round. If I'm not mistaken, let me look. Let me make sure. Yeah, they don't even have him in the first round. Man, hey, man. Anytime you start talking about 6'5", 4'3", 40, he might, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he's probably a third. I wouldn't be surprised if he's probably going to be something like a third round. I wonder what they got him ranked as. Yeah, I wonder what they have him ranked as, because I don't see his rank. I don't see his draft. Savion Williams. A lot of people have been talking about him. I'll make sure I go look at his tape. Let's see. Savion Williams draft projection. Let's see what they got him at. He's got an 83.4 overall. They're not really saying where they haven't projected. Let me see. I mean, he's ranked really well, for sure. He is definitely ranked really well. He's one of those wide receivers, man. If somebody's probably going to steal in the second round, man, they'll probably steal this kid in the second round, boy, and he'll probably be a monster. He will probably be an absolute monster when he gets if a team. Man, you just think about this. Wow. Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, the draft projection means the round. Do you know they got this kid ranked? If I'm not mistaken, let me make sure here. If I'm not mistaken, they're saying that this kid is ranked in the 4th round. They said his overall rank is 110. His position rank, number 14. Draft projection 4th. Man, let me tell you something. If a team like Kansas City mess around and get a kid like that in the 3rd or the 4th round, man, the NFL gonna be put on notice. NFL gonna be put on notice, man. NFL is going to be put on notice. On notice. Ron, impressive. Yeah, I need a guy with good hands. Willie T, Schoolmaker gets just 5'6". Ferguson turns a 5-yard catcher to a 10 to 15. Schoolmaker is more of a grinder to me. He's more of a possession guy. I mean, Schoolmaker to me is not a big play receiver. I mean, he's not a big play tight end. Ferguson can be a big play tight end, but I want to see this year coming up. We need to see what Ferguson is all about, because the Cowboys, if he doesn't, this is his year. We got to see something, because this was supposed to be his year. Everybody was talking about this dude was supposed to be that. Tia Shauna, what's going on? JJ didn't want it. No, he didn't. He didn't want him to run. And it makes me wonder if he knew something. He didn't want him to run. Yeah, he didn't want him to run. And it's funny, the very week he ran, that hamstring, and it makes me wonder if there was something already wrong with that. Real fan one. We never know what Trey Lance could have done if he started since game one. Lance didn't have enough time and experience. And you think about a real fan. What if he actually goes to a team that's going to give him a chance? San Francisco. I think the problem with San Francisco is they put him on. Trey Lance needed to start immediately. He actually needed to start immediately with the San Francisco 49ers. But because they put him on ice, and then when he got his chance to play, he broke his foot. And then by that time, Brock Purdy is playing pretty good. So they pretty much gave up on Trey Lance. It's another issue of kind of what could have been. Gee, how can you defend Jerry and then say Jerry needs to pay attention? I really can't defend Jerry. That's number one. I really can't defend Jerry. But I do think Jerry needs to pay attention because Jerry is paying attention because he said as much based upon when they asked him, Willie, they asked him, has he kind of been looking at the Eagles and these other teams? He said yes. He said yes. Now, there's something else that he's saying. If you listen to Jerry, we're going to see if this is going to come to fruition. If you listen to Jerry, Jerry is dropping hints, but we know what it looked like when Jerry dropped hints. But Jerry is dropping hints that he's going to put players around Dak Prescott. This is what he's implying. He's implying that we just got to see if it happens. He's implying they're about to put players around Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is implying. I'm going to tell y'all something. Some of y'all y'all kind of knew. Y'all didn't come at the beginning. But if you listen to Dak Prescott in his yearly before the season interview, he always gives with Troy Aikman. I said it then, and I still believe it. Jerry Jones told Dak Prescott the entire plan. Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott talked. Dak Prescott knows Jerry's entire plan. And I believe that Jerry just flat out told him, this year, you will have to do more with less. But next year, we'll put players around you. Dak is implying this also because Dak has said, if the big fish is out there, my contract is designed so that we can get the big fish. I do believe that Jerry Jones, this year and next year, he's going to put some players because I think Jerry Jones is in a position again to where there are some things happening because I've been hearing people talk about big things that Jerry is working on with the NFL and the Cowboys. And I think they may be approaching another situation to where they need to win. That it would be good. And I do think something happened to the NFL this year, but the ratings are down. And I really want to see what these playoff ratings look like. The NFL ratings are down. Well, there's only two things that I know that has happened to the NFL this year. Dak Prescott got hurt, and the Cowboys were not even competitive. And I think that makes a difference. Jerry was only worried about that because he paid him $60 million. He doesn't give a dang on about Dak. You know what? I don't know. Man, I don't know. Jerry is kind of hard to read when it comes to this stuff. But I can tell you this. I've heard Jerry do it twice now. Jerry has been very definitive. He's been very definitive about Dak Prescott in the last in about three conversations I've heard him had about Dak Prescott. Teal says in an imaginary scenario, get all Dak's money back, eat it this season that just passed, and then you got the money to get a quarterback and surround him. Nope, wasn't going to quite work like that, Teal. They would have actually had to eat this season and the following season. They would have had to eat this season and the following season which would have literally set the Cowboys back about another 2 seasons. Yeah, it's not quite that easy. See, Dak Prescott has an agent named Todd Francis. And even with this deal, a lot of folk don't realize this. The Dallas Cowboys are tied to the hip with Dak Prescott. And even if they decide to go away from Dak Prescott in 3 years, they are still going to take a massive cap hit. This deal only works with Dak. I mean, it is what it is. This deal only works with Dak playing for the Cowboys. It's the only way it works. If not, it will be worse. But that people got to understand something. Mike Fisher has been saying this, and people, I don't understand why nobody will get this through their head. Signing Dak Prescott is not the problem. It's not the problem. Well, Dak does mean something. He's the quarterback. I mean, what are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about right there. Stroud just turned 23 and has the same playoff wins as Dak, as a decade with Dak. Yeah, he has a better team. He has a better team. Tell me when Dak's had that defense. Dak hasn't had that defense. I would even say that DeMeco Ryans, DeMeco Ryans is a better coach than both Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy. Than both of them. Dak has literally been dragging this team on his back, and folks don't realize it. Willie T, Kyle Shanahan was not the one who came up with the formula to stop Dak. I think he is. Tia says another team does well, it's the team. Dak fanboys, I don't know what that means. But the Dallas Cowboys need to build a team. Period. End of story. It's not about being a fanboy. I've been here with this team since the 70s. No. The Super Bowl teams for the Cowboys, they had teams. Nobody ran around like we do today. I mean, this is this new era. Back in the day, I'm telling you, I don't know who y'all was around. We didn't walk around talking about Troy Aikman the way we talk about Dak Prescott. We didn't think that the game depended upon how Troy Aikman. No, we were literally, this team was actually a run-first team. It wasn't a Troy Aikman throw the ball team, contrary to what people may think. This team is a run-first. It was always a run-first team. It was a run-first team. It was built upon the running game. The best offensive line literally in history. You're late to the show. You're late to this channel. I'm not going to keep going back and showing this stuff over and over and over again. Troy Aikman's numbers were pedestrian. Not because he was bad. They were pedestrian because the team did not depend on Troy Aikman to carry it. We want Dak to carry this team. Jerry never said this stupid stuff about Troy Aikman. Yeah, we only go as far as Troy Aikman take us. No, because Troy Aikman wasn't taking us anywhere. We saw what the team looked like with Troy Aikman before he got Emmitt Smith, before he got the offensive line, before he got the top 10 defenses. We know what Troy Aikman looked like. We know what Troy Aikman looked like. Y'all late to the party. I'm not going to keep going back over this stuff. The real Daryl, run the football, stop the run, and win the time possession. Bingo. And these teams, with these quarterbacks, they're paying all this money. Guess what? They're thinking the same thing. It's this simple, real Daryl. If you can control the line of scrimmage, if you can stop the run, you can beat a lot of teams. A lot of teams. Control the line of scrimmage, run the ball, stop the run. You can stop so many teams. So many teams. I don't care who their quarterback is. I don't care who their coach is. You can beat any team if you can do that. Any team. And that's why I'm telling us, if you look at how the top echelon teams are built, that's how they're built. That's exactly how they're built. The Detroit Lions, we're not dumb. They know what Jared Goff is. We're the only dumb team that always run around talking about our quarterback because that's what our owner does. We're the only dumb team to do that. And a lot of our fans, as I was having a conversation the other day, A lot of our fans talk bad about Jerry Jones, but they buy into everything he says. This is why everybody keeps, now even you're getting these guys like Mike Fisher. You're getting guys, they're finally pushing back on Jerry Jones because he's lying. Jerry and Stephen Jones have been lying. And what made everybody open up their eyes? Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman opened up everybody's eyes. Because everybody started asking the question, how are the Eagles doing this? How are the Eagles building this team? How are the Eagles? How are they paying their quarterback? Paying 2 wide receivers? How are they doing it? Paying their running back? They have 7 players. Well, I think it's 8. 8 players taking up 34% of the cap. And they're star players. How are they doing that? And we got 3 players taking up 33%. So do we not realize that those 8 players have big contracts also, but they're able to do what they're doing? How are they doing it? Because Howie Roseman is a true GM, and we don't have a true GM. They know how to use the cap. They don't do the dumb stuff we do. We sit around and wait until the last minute to sign our players. I'll never forget this past summer. Stephen Jones, well, we're gonna wait and see where the tea leaves fall. What? Yeah, we don't want to set the market. Are you dumb? You set the market. Because you make someone have to come behind you and reset it. You don't let everyone set the market. The Cowboys overspent on CeeDee Lamb by $8 million. The Cowboys overspent on Dak Prescott by at least $10 million. How? Because they waited to sign the stupid contracts. The Cowboys not only did this once with Dak Prescott, they did it twice with Dak Prescott. The Cowboys on Dak Prescott's rookie contract, they could have got Dak Prescott for pennies on the dollar. They let Jimmy Garoppolo come along and get a contract big as Dak Prescott's. Why would you do that? And then you're dumb enough to put Dak Prescott not on 1 franchise tag, but 2 franchise tags. So that's Dak Prescott's fault? That's Dak Prescott's fault. Many of us think dumb like the owner because we've let the owner tell us lies. But thankfully now, the technology is so good for every one of you people who keep talking about Dak Prescott being signed has nothing to do with this team not being able to sign players. You people need to stop saying this. Stop talking football and learn football. Learn it. Stop talking it. Some of y'all talking it, but you haven't learned it. Learn football. You come here, you'll learn some football. I can teach you some business. Some folk don't understand. Football is a business. It's the business of football. And Dak Prescott's contract, I don't understand why this stuff is readily available on the intranet, on the internet, on the World Wide Web. We don't even realize it. Mike Fisher, me, the Downey guy, we've been blowing this out of the water. Dak attack the Cowboys now. He's been blowing this out of the water. And Brian Broaddus and some of these guys on 105.3 The Fan tried to check us by asking Jerry Jones, these guys on YouTube, these content creators, Jerry, are they right when they say all you have to do is flip a switch and you can get cap space? And Jerry didn't even hesitate. Well, they're right. You think? You don't have to tell us we're right, Jerry. Because the information for all you folk who keep talking about Dak's contract, you don't know what you're talking about. Dak's contract actually helped the Cowboys What a lot of you do not understand, Dak's contract, the one before this one, what y'all don't understand is that contract was designed to be extended. It was not designed to get from up under. I hate to hurt your feelings with the truth. The contract was not designed to get from under. The contract was designed to extend. And the problem with the contract is the Cowboys themselves waited too long to extend it. The same thing they did by paying this man two, not one, two franchise tags. Is that Dak faults or theirs? A lot of us don't realize we talk dumb like the owner. I'll tell you in a minute. I like Jerry Jones, but he's a terrible GM. I love what Jerry Jones has done for the NFL, but he's a terrible GM. And because he's a terrible GM and he won't fire himself, I have to take a couple of stars away from him from even being a great owner. He's a great businessman. This NFL is not the same without Jerry Jones. I mean, sorry. All of us who love this game, we ought to be thanking Jerry Jones. It's not the same without Jerry Jones. The TV money, the TV money, the streaming money, the endorsements, all of these things. It was not so before Jerry Jones. It was not so. Jerry Jones came in this thing wheeling and dealing and made the Dallas Cowboys into winners, not so he could make them America's team. I got news for us. The Dallas Cowboys became America's team in 1979. That name was here before Jerry Jones ever got here. The guy for NFL Films was putting together the NFL films on the Dallas Cowboys, and he realized that when he would look at them at the visiting teams, he would notice that the visiting teams would have a lot of Cowboys jerseys on, and there would be Cowboy fans even at the visiting teams. And he said, wow, this is America's team. How can I make this stick? And he started saying that in the films. He started saying that. This was America's team long before Jerry Jones. Long before Jerry Jones. It was in 1979, the year after they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were already America's team. And contrary to what people understand, when Jerry bought this team, while they were America's team, they were on a 14-year drought from the Super Bowl. They were on a 14-year drought. Texas Stadium was trash. I know a lot of people loved it, the nostalgia. It was trash. The facilities was trash. Tom Landry, people don't understand something. Tom Landry had gotten old. People do not understand how much of a genius Tom Landry was. Tom Landry was doing everything on the Cowboys. Everything. There'll never be another Tom Landry. This man was responsible for the draft. This man was responsible for the offense. This man was responsible for the defense. This man was making up plays. All these things. There are so many things that Tom Landry did in this league that people do not understand. A lot of these concepts of plays and things of that nature, they came from a genius by the name of Tom Landry. But Tom Landry had gotten old. Couldn't do it all no more. And when Jimmy bought the Cowboys, they were losing. They were still America's team, but they were losing. And I don't think people were as upset about Jerry buying the Cowboys. I don't think that's what bothered people. I think what bothered people is the classless way that he sent Tom Landry out the door. That's what bothered people. Jerry Jones should have had a going away party for Tom Landry. Jerry Jones should have literally put Tom Landry on a pedestal before he let Tom Landry go. That's what he should have did. But we have to understand something. A lot of us were spoiled by Tom Landry. We were spoiled by Tom Landry because he was classy. He was a winner. And he was literally the face of the franchise almost. I mean, we had great players. I mean, we've always had great players. But a lot of that was Tom Landry, how he built teams. People don't understand. Free agency changed the game. Because before free agency, you could literally just keep a player for their entire life. Okay, I got Roger Staubach. I keep him the rest of his life. He can't go nowhere. I just keep paying him. It was harder for players to get away. Players had to be traded. They couldn't get out of those deals. And then free agency came along. And free agency changed the game. But then Jerry Jones wins not one, not two, but 3 Super Bowls using free agency, using trades and all of the things he did with the Herschel Walker trade, somewhere between 50 and 59 players. Built an anomaly. The 90s Cowboys are an anomaly. We keep comparing quarterbacks and coaches and teams to the 90s Cowboys. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. They're an anomaly. They were in a salary cap era. They were in a free agency era with no salary cap. It's an anomaly. It'll never happen again. You could literally bid on a player hit free agency. Highest bidder could get him, just like today. Deion Sanders went from the Falcons, the 49ers, to the Cowboys. Won a Super Bowl with the 49ers in 94-95 season. Won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys in the 95-96 season. He was basically a mercenary. You could do those types of things back then. The Cowboys through the Herschel Walker trade. No one will ever again do a trade that dumb. The Herschel Walker trade is literally the dumbest trade in history. And people do not understand. Troy Aikman benefited from being on a super team. And I don't care who that makes mad. It's the absolute unequivocal truth. He had a Hall of Fame line. There is not a team right now, that 90s Cowboys team, that team from 93, 92, 93, those 2 teams in particular, 93, 94, that team was already starting to decline after Jimmy left. They didn't win it in 94. And in 95, it wasn't the same kind of confidence when we played the Pittsburgh Steelers. It wasn't the same type of confidence. And then, of course, I think his name was Neil O'Donnell, the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, turned around and turned Larry Smith into a household name. Was that guy's name, Larry Smith? It wasn't Larry Smith. What was that cornerback name? They only gave him the MVP. They gave him the MVP of the 95-96 Super Bowl. What was his name? Hate the fact we were just talking about this kid the other day. Larry Brown. Neil O'Donnell. Somebody need to check this man's bank accounts. They need to see if he got some offshore accounts. Neil O'Donnell literally threw Larry Brown. Larry Brown didn't make great plays on the ball. Neil O'Donnell literally threw the ball right to Larry Brown. He just threw the ball right to Larry Brown. Threw the ball right to him. People need to understand, this is our problem. We keep comparing these Dallas Cowboys teams, Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, these teams. We keep trying to compare them to an anomaly. Jerry Jones bought Jimmy Johnson in. Second highest paid coach in the league. What? No experience? Yes. Second highest paid coach in the league. Got him a coaching staff. Second to none. And would put them over the top. October 1989, Herschel Walker trade super team. That 90s Cowboys team. You could take that team, and you can't say this about many teams. You can take that team, and that team could beat any team in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and now the 2020s. That doggone 90s Cowboys team, I'm sorry, they were that good. Somebody would have to tell me, And you're going to do some serious research, because I'm telling you, when you talk about all around team, every single position, I don't think there's ever been a team like that. People do not understand how dominant Larry Allen was. Larry Allen, they haven't had a lineman like Larry Allen. Larry Allen has to probably be one of the top 5 linemen to ever play this game. The dude was a murderer. The Cowboys' offensive line dominated teams. Dominated. I don't know if Roger Staubach, I'd have to go back, and I am going to do this once the playoffs are over. When you think about the amount of Hall of Famers that Troy Aikman played with, and some of them should be Hall of Famers, they just hadn't gave it to him. Darren Woodson should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. First ballot. And we're now talking about this dude making the Hall of Fame this year. This dude should have been a Hall of Famer. Darren Woodson would come downhill, and I mean, he would murder you. And don't be on the sideline, because he's going to wipe the whole sideline out with you. Darren Woodson would mop a whole sideline up with a player. I mean, would mollywop him out and would just knock players out like bowling pins. That Cowboys team was different. People don't understand. Jimmy created a bunch of rabid dogs. Man, you got that many dogs on one team? We don't understand it. And one of our problems is, man, we just keep comparing these Cowboys teams to those teams. You're just not going to do it. You can't. And until Jerry understands, a lot of teams are actually using his blueprint. They're using it against him. Look at how these teams are built. Now, don't get me wrong. The teams in the 70s, they had running teams too. The Cowboys with Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett, that whole line, that whole thing, those guys could run the ball too. Tony Dorsett was an absolute beast. Running the ball is not new to the Cowboys. The Super Bowl eras of the Cowboys, you'll notice, they always had great running backs. 33 with Roger, 22 with Troy. Tony, nor Dak Prescott. Neither one of them have enjoyed the longevity, and that's the part we don't get, the longevity of the same line and the same running back for multiple years. The Cowboys didn't get to enjoy that. I still say Travis Frederick getting that disease, this team never recovered. It never recovered. This team never looked the same without Travis Frederick. It never looked the same. Travis Frederick as the center. Zach Martin, Tyron Smith. Man, those guys were not as good. They were not as good as those 90s. No, not close. But they were good in their own right. And the injuries started getting them. The injuries of Tyron Smith. Zach Martin has actually been the one who has been the most healthiest. He didn't really start seeing problems until later in his career. Travis Frederick didn't last long. Tyron Smith, injury riddled. Many seasons we didn't get to see all of Tyron Smith. But when those guys were healthy. But at the end of the day, Dak nor Tony has enjoyed what Troy enjoyed. A complete team that was cohesive and played together for at least 3 years. That by the time they got to the point of fruition, they were a juggernaut. But nobody, I don't know. I just don't think anybody could ever get as good as fast as the Cowboys got. I mean, I've already showed this stuff. I'll do it maybe later on again in the offseason. I've already showed this stuff for you latecomers. I just keep showing this stuff over and over and over, and people just keep fighting against logic. But I'm telling you, man, Mark Schlereth said it best. Mark Schlereth said when they played the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s, Mark Slavish said he looked over at the Dallas Cowboys team. He said they didn't have one team. He said they didn't have one player on their team that could start on the Dallas Cowboys team. Not a one. He said they didn't have one player. You talking about down to the long snapper? He said we didn't have one player. One player that could start on that team. Not a one. If Jerry Jones wants to finally win, Jerry Jones is going to have to put some players around his quarterback. In the story. And for all you people who want to compare and who want to complain about Dak Prescott, you can cry a river. But barring injury, Dak isn't going nowhere. And I can promise you, Dak isn't going out like Tony Romo. Tony Romo actually didn't take care of himself. He didn't take care of his body. Tony Romo was an athlete, and people don't understand this. Tony Romo was actually a very good athlete. And a lot of things that Tony Romo did, he just had a lot of very good natural ability. And one of the things that people complained about Tony Romo is that he really wasn't serious about the game. I really think he wasn't serious because it came easy to him. Tony is, man, this dude can play basketball. This dude can play golf. I mean, shoot, man. People do not understand, man. Tony was good. But Tony suffered from the same thing Dak Prescott suffered from. He didn't have a team. And by the time the Cowboys got Tony the team, got hurt again. He got hurt again. And in comes Dak Prescott in 2016 as a rookie and only goes 13-3. People do not understand how good Dak Prescott has been for this team. They don't. Now, you're behind me and you're behind me, Willie T. Yeah, Tony Romo. It's exactly what I'm explaining. Tony Romo had a lot of natural ability. He did. He had a lot of natural ability. Dak don't have the same kind of ability Dak don't have the same kind of ability that Tony had. But see, that's okay. That's actually okay. Because when Dak came in, I wish we could still see this same Dak. The issue is, though, when Dak came in, there's a reason why Tony Romo had to concede with his meritocracy speech, and I love it. This is the meritocracy. This is a performance-based league. What have you done for me lately? And y'all can tell me anything y'all want to. But Dak Prescott tore it up. Because if Dak Prescott didn't tear it up, Tony Romo gets his job back. Dak Prescott tore it up. There was no job for Tony Romo left. That's how good Dak Prescott was in that rookie season. And what I would like to see in the multiverse, I'd love to see what Tony could have done with that team. But when you look at what Dak Prescott was doing with that team, the running, the scrambling, I promise you this, Tony Romo wasn't ready for that. And Tony Romo would have been hurt again. Tony Romo's body was not going to hold up. We do not understand something. Tony Romo was actually being held together with staples and super glue. I've already shown this in the video. For all you latecomers, I have a video. I already showed all this stuff with Tony Romo. Tony Romo was riddled with injuries. He was riddled with injuries. I don't even think he lasts when he comes back. He tried it before and it happened. I'm thinking it might have been the 2014 season when he missed 12 games. Tony Romo broke a collarbone. Guess what he did when he came back? Broke it again. He broke it again. Tony Romo's body betrayed him. It betrayed him. And Dak Prescott, no matter what anyone says, we don't give Dak Prescott credit. He beat Tony Romo out of his job. He beat him out of it. He beat him out of it. With wins, his play on the field, and guess what? There's something that y'all don't understand who hate Dak Prescott. He destroyed Tony Romo with his leadership. He destroyed him with his leadership. When Tony Romo, I actually thought you couldn't do this. Tony Romo had me thinking that you couldn't do what Dak Prescott is doing. Dak Prescott, and I haven't seen hardly any, I just don't know of anybody else I've seen do this. Dak Prescott tears the hamstring halfway off the bone, gets the surgery. On crutches. Every home game, okay, that's cool. You come to the home games. Dak Prescott was at the away games? What? I actually thought that these guys, when they got on IR, they couldn't be around the team because I've never seen anybody hardly on IR be around the team. Dak Prescott was at every game. He didn't have to be. He was at every game. He was on the field before every game. Dak Prescott, it is crazy what they were saying about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott had the surgery, traveled with the team, went to the locker room, and kept his same routine that he had while he was playing. The only thing he didn't do was put on his uniform. But he put on those Dallas Cowboy clothes. So that's what he wore to the game. That's what he would put on in the locker room. He came to every game. They finally had to tell him to get his butt off the sideline because he almost got rolled up on in one of those games. People do not understand. You can tell me anything you want to about Tony Romo. Dak beat Tony Romo out, period, in the story. There's no argument. He beat him out. Yeah, Dak delusional. His name fits him, Willie T. Daniel Lim said, you got Eagles fans trying to gloat and saying that we are going to win against Green Bay when you know you can't predict what's going to happen. I mean, Jalen Hurts hasn't played a game in 3 weeks. Daniel Lim, I got a strange feeling, though, the Eagles are actually going to beat the Green Bay Packers, and they're going to beat them good. The Green Bay Packers did not look this year how they looked last year going down the stretch. If anybody was looking at the Green Bay Packers going down the stretch, I was. And as it got closer and closer to the Cowboys playing them, me and my uncle were both like, people don't realize how good this Green Bay Packers team is. We were noticing it. That doggone Green Bay Packers team got hungrier and hungrier down the stretch last season. They were in some shootouts with their own division. They didn't look the same this year. I just don't think they're going to come in and do to the Eagles what they did to the Cowboys. I think the Eagles are going to be way more ready. And the reason why I think they're going to be way more ready is because they still got something that we didn't have last year. They got a running game and they got a team that can stop the run. They're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. Sandman, let me explain something to you. I think there may be a reason why people are sentimental about Dak Prescott. When you think about the things that have happened to Dak Prescott off the field and things that have happened to Dak Prescott on the field, people are going to look back at Dak Prescott's story, and especially if he gets a Super Bowl, which I think they're going to get in 2026. You have to understand, people are going to look back on the Dak Prescott story, and they're going to realize how incredible it is. See, the one thing we do, especially on the Cowboys team, the Dallas Cowboys toxic part of the fan base. The whole fan base isn't toxic, but there is absolutely a toxic part of this fan base. And the toxic part of this fan base, they destroy quarterbacks on this team. They destroy quarterbacks because we're always thinking about Troy Aikman, never thinking about the context of Troy Aikman. But we always just think that Troy Aikman was the greatest quarterback since sliced bread. I'm sorry. Troy Aikman wasn't even the best quarterback in the league. He wasn't even the best quarterback. I know that may hurt some of you Troy Aikman fans' feelings. He wasn't even the best quarterback in the league. He wasn't. There were quarterbacks better than Troy Aikman. They were just not on better teams than Troy Aikman. And I've said this before. I would rather be a quarterback on the best team than be the best quarterback in the league on the team that don't win. I would rather be that quarterback on the best team. Troy Aikman was a good to great quarterback, but he was on the best team. The 92-93 Cowboys. I don't know. Maybe some of y'all are too young. I'm sorry. It wouldn't have surprised anybody if those teams would have went 16-0. They were that good. For those teams to lose, it was such a shock to everybody who, if they lost, you're literally like, it's crazy that they lost because they're even better than the team they lost to. But ever so often, the team would beat them. It's hard to go 16-0. I mean, it's hard to go 13-3. Every so often, a team would beat them. Even if the team wasn't better, they would beat them. They were better on that day, but they were not better than the Cowboys. That team, those teams were literally that good. I just don't think a lot of us understand how good those teams were. But I'm laughing because, we talk about these Dallas Cowboys. But I'm sorry, man. I mean, Jerry has not built a team since the 92 team, since the 93 team. They haven't built a team since then. I'll give him credit. He brought in Deion Sanders in 94 for the 95 season. But after the 95 season, I'm tired of showing these facts. I know it hurts people's feelings. Look at Troy Aikman's drop-off. It has to be studied. The reality of Troy Aikman, whether people accept it or not, the stats and the tape are there. You can cry me a river. The reality of Troy Aikman's career is defined in 5 seasons. That's the reality. Troy Aikman's career defined in 5 seasons. But he did so much because his team was so good. There was so much that happened in 5 seasons. He made the Hall of Fame. But there were people who were balking at Troy Aikman's Hall of Fame. And for all you Troy Aikman lovers, because y'all try to destroy Dak Prescott. Y'all try to destroy Dak Prescott because he's not Troy Aikman. He never played on the teams that Troy Aikman played on. He just didn't. Dak has not had a team, nor Tony Romo. I'm talking both of these guys. They never had a team like Troy Aikman. They never had a team like Troy Aikman. And there are not many quarterbacks in this NFL can ever say, tell me anything you want to. I just keep showing this and people get mad, but it's the truth. This is Troy Aikman. His career is defined in 5 seasons. He was 0-11, 7-8, 7-5. You know what happened in 89? They traded Herschel Walker. And if you want to know what happened between here, and here, they started getting players. They got Emmitt Smith. They got Russell Maryland. They started building the line. And in 1992, in 4 years, Troy said that they were a year early. You know what happened? They had the best team in the league. Based on, and I've already showed this, y'all need to start doing your own research. When you look at the players they got with the Herschel Walker trade, there'll never be nothing else like it. Oh, did I say that there was a non-salary cap era at the time? You could pretty much sign who you wanted to. It was up to you. There was no salary cap. Jerry Jones is the one who is the architect of the salary cap that now he can't seem to manage. Because Jerry already knew all the money he was about to bring into the NFL with the TV money and the endorsement deals. He already knew what he was about to do. And he was basically saying, we're not giving this all to the players. We're not doing it. We're going to create a salary cap so teams will have to manage their team with a cap. Because at the rate we're going, Jerry, you were the one doing it. You were the one going out paying the Deion Sanders all that money. You were the one doing that stuff. At the rate they were going to be paying the players 70% of the money. Jerry said, no, salary cap. Non-salary cap era. Guess what? 92, Super Bowl. 93, Super Bowl. 94, got beat. 95, Super Bowl. 96, guess what happened? 10-5, 6-10, 7-4, 7-7, 4-7. You can get mad, you can get glad with a heavyweight trash bag. This man's career was basically defined in 1, 2, 3, 4. Really 4. But we'll give him 5. They got knocked out. I remember that year they got knocked out of the playoffs. This is Troy Aikman. He had 5 winning seasons. I guess 4 if you count 7-4. This is it. This is it. But the issue is the Herschel Walker trade garnered a plethora of players and turned the Cowboys into a super team because Jimmy Johnson, fresh out of college, was very familiar with a lot of the players. He had been in their living rooms. He tried to recruit them. He was very familiar with players. His ear was to the ground. He knew a lot of college coaches. Jimmy Johnson, people do not understand where he was at that time here. He was fresh out of college, man. He was familiar with so many players. And Jimmy deserves some credit too. Jimmy wanted Deion Sanders. Jimmy wanted Charles Haley. Jimmy wanted those players. He went and got them. Jimmy deserves credit too. And this 90s Cowboys, we talk about them like they were the New England Patriots, like they went in and went 7 out of 10. I mean, that's how we talk about them. The reality is they were 3 out of 4. And don't get me wrong, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's incredible what they did. But we need to understand the context of how they did it. We need to understand the context. I've already explained this. 1991, when Troy Aikman got hurt, Steve Berline won with this team too. Steve Berline won with this team. And I told the story about Dave Onstad. Steve Berline, this team was so good, I believe Steve Berline could have won with it too. And I know unequivocally Tony Romo and Dak Prescott could win with this same team. Heck, there's a lot of quarterbacks that could win with that same team. They were loaded. From the coaching staff down, they were loaded. Man, we talk about Dak Prescott like this dude is chop suey. That's why I keep telling y'all folks who hate Dak Prescott, you can tell me anything you want to, but you don't get to negotiate a $231 million deal unless there are other teams that want you. Tell me anything you want to. There's a reason why Jerry Jones don't want Mike McCarthy to go out and start trying to talk to other people before he gets to negotiate with him. You know why? He doesn't want Mike McCarthy coming back to him saying, hey, this is what the Chicago Bears are willing to offer. This is what the New York Jets are willing to offer. So unless you beat this, you know what Todd Francis took before Jerry Jones? He took before Jerry Jones not only his record, he took before Jerry Jones, runner-up MVP, second team All-Pro, and oh, by the way, Jerry, you don't sign Dak Prescott. We got teams ready to sign him. We have teams ready to sign Dak Prescott. You don't get a $231 million deal unless you have all of those things to negotiate. And the problem is a lot of us do not understand the business of football. And this is why Jerry counts on a lot of us not knowing the business of football. And he tells us anything he wants us to believe. And those of us who don't know football business, we just walk around and repeat these dumb things that Jerry Jones says. No. Jerry Jones and this Cowboys team, while it is not a non-salary cap era, you got to tell me how the Detroit Lions, you got to tell me how the Baltimore Ravens, you got to tell me how the Philadelphia Eagles, you have to tell me how these teams are putting players around their quarterback and they're dealing with the same salary cap. Their quarterbacks were once the highest paid players in the league, and they still have managed to put the Justice League around them. And we still in everyone's chats, we still arguing about Dak Prescott's contract and arguing about Dak Prescott being the problem. We have bought into the Kool-Aid of the owner. And it is a shame that we're still arguing these things. Bottom line, Lamar Jackson is proving the point. The Eagles are going to prove the point. The Detroit Lions are going to prove the point. You need players around your quarterback. In the story, there's no more discussion. Willie T said it's not that they got Derrick Henry. Yes, it is. No, it is. It is. It is the fact that they got Derrick Henry because they don't look the same. Willie T, you're not being honest. You're not being honest. They do not look the same, Willie T. They don't. You're not being honest. So help me out, Willie T. So you said the Ravens, it's because of their OC, right? Okay. So riddle me this. Let me make sure. Maybe you're up on this more than me. Let me make sure. Got my spidey senses tingling. Got to make sure now. You got to make sure. Let me make sure before I make my own answer. Okay. So looks like the Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator is a guy by the name of Todd Monken. Am I correct? At least that's what I'm looking at here. So help me out, Willie T. You're going to have to understand something about me. You're just not going to be able to make blanket statements. I'm just going to hit you with the facts. You can argue those if you want to, but I'm going to hit you with the facts. So you said it's because of the OC. Let me make sure I put your comment back on this thing. You said they got an OC to use Lamar passing and running. You said Derrick Henry, Todd Monken is much better than Greg Roman. So let me use your own statement against you. So was Todd Monken there last year? Help me out. Was Todd Monken with the Baltimore Ravens last year? Was he with the Baltimore Ravens last year? Yes, he was. Which game in the playoffs did they lose? Which game was it? Because I got news for you. I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but I've already shown this, and it makes absolute sense. And you or anybody else, you're not being honest with yourself. You can tell me anything you want to, but I've already showed this comparison. When you look at The Baltimore Ravens, last year in the playoffs versus this year in the playoffs. You want to know what the difference is? Derrick Henry in the story. The difference is Derrick Henry. The difference is Derrick Henry. We saw exactly what Lamar Jackson looked like, and we've seen exactly what Lamar Jackson has looked like, even up under Greg Roman. He's won 2 playoff games under Greg Roman. I'm thinking that was the coach when he won those. We saw exactly what he looked like. But you know the difference? You want to know the difference this year? I've already showed this, Willie T. Maybe you late to the party. So how is it this year? There was a stint in the game where the Baltimore Ravens literally ran the ball 15 straight times, of which they didn't do last year. Lamar Jackson, if you look at Lamar Jackson's box score from last year, you got to help me out, Willie T, because what you're saying isn't making sense. Because when you look at the difference in the game, it is blatantly obvious. This is the same play caller from last year. Todd Monken, he's the same play caller from last year. But isn't it strange how different both of these games look? Last year, they had this man, Lamar Jackson. They had Lamar Jackson. Let me pull this back. I got the wrong. They had this man, Lamar Jackson, come out last year against the Kansas City Chiefs. They had this man come out here, and he threw the ball 37 times. He threw the ball 37 times. 37 times, Willie T. Lamar Jackson was 8 for 54. The other 3 running backs on the team, and we call them running backs, but the other 3 people that ran the ball, they ran the ball 8 times for 27 yards. Lamar Jackson outrushed them in the same amount of rushes by double that. He doubled their total of 3 people. And then if you look at what the difference was, you can tell me anything you want to. You know what the difference is? Lamar Jackson threw the ball half of what he did last year, 16 to 21, 175 yards. 2 touchdowns. You know what the difference is? Let me blow this up. Maybe you can't see this. Okay, this is as big as I can get it. You know what the difference is? Derrick Henry ran more yards than Lamar Jackson threw. Let that sink in. So you're telling me Todd Monken is the difference? No, this is the same Todd Monken from last year. He's a good play caller, great play caller. But you know what made him look even better? Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry opened up this game. The Baltimore Ravens. Maybe I'm different. I'm sorry. I told my wife, I said, Baltimore looks different. Baltimore looks different. Baltimore has never looked like this in the playoffs. The Baltimore Ravens look different, and they look scary. And they don't look scary because of Todd Monken. He was knocked out in the first round last year. They don't look different because of him. They look different because of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry makes this team look totally different. He does. He does. He makes this team look totally different. And he allows Todd Monken to call different. Okay, give Greg Roman Derrick Henry. Give Greg Roman Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. I bet you Greg Roman wished they'd have done that. I bet you he wished they'd have done that because I bet you Greg Roman would have ran this ball down people's throat just like Todd Monken did today. They controlled the line of scrimmage and they dominated. Period in the story. Patrick Surtain is going to lock down whoever Buffalo's top target is, and Broncos defense should be able to neutralize Bills' running game. I don't know if Josh is going to be able to do everything to win versus Amen. I'm going to tell you something. I'm on upset alert with the Buffalo Bills. David LaSalle. The last weapon we got Dak was Lamb. How long ago was that? And we got Amari Cooper, but unfortunately, we got mad and didn't keep him. Man, Rush can't beat a lot of teams, but Philly is his doggone kryptonite for sure, isn't he? He is his kryptonite. Azteca said Tomlin won the Super Bowl in 2008. Mike McCarthy in 2010. Woo! Telling you, Azteca, I'm just wondering, how long do you let coaches live off of Super Bowls, man? How long? I mean, I'm serious. I mean, if I'm Mike Tomlin, I think Mike Tomlin just might need a change of venue. Mike Tomlin is not the issue with Pittsburgh. They need to upgrade the quarterback, and they failed. And that's why, for me, Gabe, I'm like, he might need to go somewhere else. They need a bona fide number one wide receiver and maybe a different starting running back. Defense can hold it down regardless. Offense needs a huge facelift. They do. I said the same thing when I first started. They need an overhaul. They do. They definitely need an overhaul, for sure. McCarthy took over in 8-18. Yeah, injuries. Was nothing special. Don't try and make it like Garrett was doing something. He was. I've already shown it. You can argue all you want to, but I've already shown it. They both have almost the same amount of wins. Same amount of playoff wins. Same amount of wins, almost. They both won big with Dak Prescott. They both lost when they had players that were injured. They both did. There's no difference. They both did. They lost when they had players injured. Problem is, it's the way McCarthy did his. He did 3 12-win seasons in a row. We forget. But Garrett had a 13-win season. Garrett had a 13-win season. He was also the coach of Tony Romo when they cheated the Cowboys with the catch. See, we keep hating on Jason Garrett. See, we do this stuff. We just do this stuff to these coaches and players. I'm sorry. It's not going to hurt my feelings if the Cowboys let go of Mike McCarthy. We got to stop acting like Mike McCarthy is all that in a bag of chips. Let him go, man. Yeah, you're right. Rush can't beat Philly, and Rush can't beat a lot of teams in actuality. Azteca said, Richard Owens, he said, there's nothing to do with coaching. It's Jerry thing. How can you motivate a man that has everything he's ever... Boy, Richard, I'm telling you something, man. Boy, you do not know what you're saying there, boy. Man, I'm telling you. I've asked this question before. I'm like, man, what do you get the man that has everything? I mean, what do you get the man that has everything? I mean, what do you get him? What do you give him, man? The real fan said everyone wants team to do well and wants the best chance to get a Super Bowl. Yeah, I believe that too. Dallas Cowboys a star over any player. That part two. Yes, it, Azteca. Yeah. The Baltimore Ravens seem to have finally figured out their formula to win. Use both. Now, I said this, Gabe, early. This is the part that people they're missing. See, last year, the Todd Monken guy, I guess for whatever reason, he wanted to prove that Lamar Jackson can beat you with his arm, and messed around and let Lamar Jackson go out there and throw the ball 37 doggone times. That was stupid. Stupid. And then having the quarterback being the best runner on the team. Double stupid. No, these guys finally said, nah, man, we can't put this all on Lamar Jackson's plate anymore. We've seen this 6 times and it hasn't worked. We've seen it 6 times and it hasn't worked. And rather than being like the Dallas Cowboys and complain about the money that we've paid Lamar Jackson, okay, we've paid him the money. Now, what do we do about it? Put some players around him. Give him a running game that's almost unstoppable. Telling you, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson going to be a problem in the playoffs. They're going to be a problem. They are going to be a literal problem in the playoffs. They are. They are going to be a literal problem for every team they run up against. Andre, man, let me tell you something. I'm on upset alert with Denver. I am on upset alert with the Denver Broncos. Man, that doggone Denver Broncos defense is good, man. I'm on upset alert with them. That doggone defense is good. It really does. It really is. And they're good enough. That defense is actually good enough to beat the Buffalo Bills. And it's so funny today. You think about it. Justin Herbert turned back into a pumpkin today because of the Texans defense. Josh Allen has thrown the least amount of interceptions he's thrown in a long time. That Denver Broncos defense is good enough to turn him back into a pumpkin too. It is. Richard Owens said, if you're a quarterback for the Cowboys, you have to be malleable and able to follow a script to the T. Azteca said, we lost because the run game was stopped. And as soon as Pollard went down with the injury, your boy McCarthy and Kellen Moore abandoned the run game. Boy, these stories get old. But you're right, man. You know, you have to keep explaining these things, and people still don't want to accept it. Ron says, as a Cowboys fans, you should know who Trey Lance's running back was, Hunter Lipke. Now, I'm asking that question also, Ron, because I'm comparing, and maybe this is behind, but I'm comparing the two programs that Justin Fields and Trey Lance both come from. The programs at Ohio State are head and shoulders above North Dakota State. I mean, there's no comparison. There's no comparison when you talk about those two. I think Trey Lance, again, like I said, I hope Trey Lance gets an opportunity to go to a team that just says, hey, man, you're going to start for the whole year. End the story. We'll see what it looks like at the end of the year. Maybe give him 2 years, put some players around him. You know what, though? Let me tell you something, Azteca. I said this earlier as it applied to the Houston Texans game. See, Cowboy fans, we talk a lot of crazy nonsense. The Houston Texans defense is so good. Do we not realize C.J. Stroud threw a game-changing interception? Mixon makes a game-changing fumble. They are literally about to put the Los Angeles Chargers back in the game. You know what the defense said? Hey, hold on a second. Hold my drink. We're just going to go out here and stop the Los Angeles Chargers. We're not going to allow them to turn those turnovers into touchdowns. Micah Parsons said this himself when he was in his right mind. He said, Dak Prescott ought to be able to make 2 turnovers and we still overcome it. The Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud, and somebody over here today talking about C.J. Stroud and this and that. Not understanding. I'm sorry. C.J. Stroud has just been on better teams than the Cowboys. The Houston Texans, man, they are good. They benefited from the things that they did. They almost had a Herschel Walker trade. The Cleveland Browns traded the farm for Deshaun Watson. And the Houston Texans have been eating off of that dumb trade the Cleveland Browns made. They've turned some of those things into players. Houston Texans got a good coach, got a good DC. C.J. Stroud has got some players around him. And C.J. Stroud, man, they've had a couple of injuries, but that team, they've been trying their best to put players around him. They went and got Stephon Diggs. They have been trying to put players around C.J. Stroud. But don't get it twisted. C.J. Stroud today, stop acting like C.J. Stroud is the reason why they won that game. C.J. Stroud is not the reason why they won that game today. That defense was lights out. It was lights out, period, end of story. Lights out. Lights out. And I'm telling you, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I want to play on a team. I want to play on the team where I'm the quarterback and I can make 3 turnovers and the defense says, hey, G, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They won't be scoring today. The defense said they won't be scoring today. I watched the Detroit Lions against the Houston Texans. I watched Jared Goff, 5 turnovers. Detroit Lions defense said, hey, hold my drink. We're only going to stop the Houston Texans. They're not going to score off these turnovers. When you got a defense that says we got a built-in 2 to 3 turnover ratio, we got a 2 to 3 turnover threshold for our quarterback. How many teams can say that? How many teams can say, hey, our quarterback can turn the ball over not once, not twice. He can turn it over 5 times. We'll still win. We'll still win against a good team. We don't have that defense. Tell me anything you want to. We don't have that defense. We don't. Gee, the question you have about quarterbacks is a good question, but we know that you can only do what you're allowed to do, and you have to play within the construct of your team and the ownership. And that's the problem. People don't understand. That's what Troy played with. The construct of the team was a super team. Jerry Jones was different then. He empowered Jimmy Johnson. He only made him the second highest paid coach in the league. He empowered him. He gave him a staff. You think they were paid? Lowest paid? No. Jerry spared no expense when he came in. Only for Jerry to get super duper cheap. Only for Jerry to get super duper cheap. David, you're 100% right. This draft is stacked with running backs. It is. Yes, sir. We got another good day of football tomorrow. Got another good day of football. I'll be on at some point tomorrow. Probably be after all 3 of the games. For me, I'm picking with my heart and my head. My head says the Bills are going to beat the Denver Broncos tomorrow. But my heart says the Denver Broncos have a great chance to upset the Buffalo Bills tomorrow. I think the Buffalo Bills, if they're going to beat the Denver Broncos, I think they're going to beat them something like 31-20. I think if the Denver Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills, it'll be something like 24-16, and it'll be something like a turnover that they'll get some weird turnover against Josh Allen. There is one game, and this may be bad, but there is one game that I am totally sold on. Heart and head. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat the Green Bay Packers tomorrow somewhere around 24-10. I just don't think they're good enough. I don't think they're good enough to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. That team is absolutely loaded also. Tomorrow, as it applies to the Washington Commanders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, I am so torn on this game. This is a toss-up game. This is really a toss-up game to me. It's hard for me to call it heads or tails on this thing. I'm going to go at my heart. I'm going to say the Washington Commanders. I'm going to say the Washington Commanders beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with my heart. And I think the score, it would be something like 27-17. But with my head, I'm still thinking the Commanders have a chance. But I say if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win, I would not be surprised if it's some weird shootout and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win something like 34-27. Minnesota and Los Angeles, same thing again. But my head says Minnesota is really that good. That's what my head says. And so I'm thinking that the Minnesota Vikings will beat the Los Angeles Rams something like 28-10. I think the Vikings are going to bring them back to reality. I don't think the LA Rams have enough to beat a team like the Vikings. But with my heart, if the LA Rams can find a way to run the ball, get a couple of big plays, I don't see this happening. I'll take Matthew Stafford any day over Sam Darnold. But if the LA Rams can take this to a shootout, I think in order to beat the Minnesota Vikings, I think they'll have to beat them 34-31. They're going to have to score 30 points. The Rams are going to have to score points. They're going to have to score points to beat the Rams. The Rams are going to have to score points to beat Minnesota. Minnesota can score. They can. All right, guys. That's going to do it for me. I appreciate all the discussions, even you people who don't like Dak Prescott. It ain't going to change. Dak Prescott is still our quarterback. Definitely still my quarterback. Love Dak Prescott. Think he's a great leader for the team. I'll be doing some stuff this year, man. I'm going to do some fun stuff in the offseason. I'm not just going to do all the boring stuff and covering just the draft and all that stuff, man. I got some things that the Cowboy fans I got some things that the Cowboy fans are going to absolutely love as we're going to be doing this offseason. So again, appreciate all of you. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't, especially y'all who like to go back and forth with me. Well, if you want to keep going back and forth, hey man, need to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Y'all go get y'all some sleep. I got to go preach in the morning. Until the next time, God bless all of you. Till the next time, let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.